the great American race, the ultimate victory lane, the Daytona 500, returning February 15th to NBC.
This is the Allstate NBC Sports Update.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
80 degrees and sunshine, a perfect day in southern Florida for the season-ending NASCAR Busch Race. The Ford 300 from the Homestead Miami Speedway, NASCAR crowns a Busch Series champion just a little bit later today. And hi, everyone. Jimmy Roberts back in our New York studio. We'll send you down to Florida for the start of the race in just a moment. And then following NASCAR at 2:30 Eastern Time, we'll have Notre Dame football, the Fighting Irish, hosting BYU. Well, it was a week of family matchups in the NBA. On Tuesday, the brothers Van Gundy coached against each other, with Jeff's Rockets beating Stan's Heat. And last night, Mike Dunleavy of the LA Clippers coached against his son Mike Jr., a forward for the Golden State Warriors. Big question in this one, who's mom rooting for? First quarter on the break, the nice feed here from Nick Van Exel Jr., 7 points on 2 of 10 shooting. Actually, his lowest point total of the year so far. Fourth quarter now, 4-point game. Calbert Chaney, the rebound, looking for the outlet pass, but Corey Maggette with the steal and the slam. The Clippers go on to win this one by 6. And don't forget, we've got our big college football poll today. Quit throwing stuff at the TV and be heard. Go to NBCSports.com, vote for the Heisman Trophy winner, Coach of the Year. Tell us who has the best chance of beating Oklahoma, and you can't say the Dallas Cowboys. It's all at NBCSports.com. Well, we will see you just a little bit later. Right now, enjoy NASCAR Busch Series racing from South Florida.
This has been the Allstate NBC Sports Update. You're in good hands with Allstate.
NBC Sports welcomes you to sunny South Florida and the Homestead Miami Speedway for the Ford 300, the season finale for the NASCAR Busch Series. The cars are on the track. We're going green flag racing in just moments, and it should be quite a dramatic day. The series championship to be decided here. Usually these things come down to maybe 2 drivers to the final race. Today, any one of those 6 drivers could win the championship. After 10 months and 8,000 miles of racing that started at Daytona last February, 6 drivers still with a shot at the title in the final race. Our pit road team is set to bring you their stories throughout the day, and while we show you the starting lineup at the bottom of the screen, let's get the championship stories. Here's Dave Burns.
Alan, Brian Vickers, at just 20 years old, has a chance to become the youngest NASCAR Busch Series champion ever. His team told me this morning, we're trying to do everything just the way we always do. Same procedures, change nothing. And those procedures have led to 3 wins already this year. Matt Yoakum.
Dave, 1994 Series champion David Green is chasing some histories. Only 5 drivers have won 2 titles in Busch Series competition. David trying to make it number 6 in a race car that was first at Kansas. He's second in points, 12th on the grid. To Bill Weber.
Ron Hornaday won 2 championships in the Truck Series. This morning he told me that it would be awesome at the age of 45 to win this championship. He said last year was a learning experience. This year he hopes to capitalize on it. Final words from Hornaday: we did not come here to finish second. Matt.
Jason Keller knows it has to be a mistake-free day. He's 4th in the standings 17 times this season. The points have changed. David Green is hoping to make it number 18 and be the 18th Series champion. To Dave.
Matt, last week Scott Riggs fell from 1st to 5th in the championship after failing to finish a race for the first time in 2003. Scott said, I was devastated after last week, but it strengthened my resolve to win today's race and the outright championship. Marty Snyder.
Dave, our 6th and final player, Bobby Hamilton Jr., who just 2 months ago was 369 points out of the lead, now just 89 from his first ever Busch Series championship. His biggest advantage, he's got nothing to lose. No one expected him to be here. All they care about is winning the race. And after all, if they win the race, they earn the maximum amount of points, Alan.
So those are the stories for the championship. 6 drivers in one 300-mile race. Alan Bestwick here with 1973 Winston Cup champ Benny Parsons. BP, you've been in these title fights before. For these 6 drivers and their crews, it's got to be a nerve-wracking day.
But I talked to the crews down there this morning, and I said, guys, what a glorious day. You're here. You have a chance to win a championship. And that's what they all have. They're in a situation they can win. And that's basically all they need to do is go out and try to win the race. If they do, they can win the championship.
Besides the story of the championship, the other story of the day here, this newly configured racetrack. The much maligned flat 6-degree corners of this racetrack demolished, rebuilt over 6 months' time to progressively banked 18, 19, and 20-degree corners that have been getting rave reviews from the drivers so far.
The drivers just love this racetrack. There's a lot of grip. It's very smooth, but it has proven to be difficult for some of these teams.
And be a handful here today. Where's Wally? He's in a race car. We will see and hear Wally. There he is in his Mr. Clean machine throughout the day. Kurt Busch is going to be joining BP and I here shortly. He's just finished practicing his Winston Cup car for tomorrow's Ford 400. He'll slip in here. We'll get his thoughts on the racetrack as we watch this race together.
Let's check with Wally and see what... Hey, Wally, Benny Parsons, you got me?
I hear you, BP.
Okay, give us your opinion of this newly configured racetrack.
What, this track is a blast. It's a lot of fun for a driver. Very fast, lots of grooves. I hope it's going to be a great race. I think it will be.
Okay, you know top 5's where you got to finish.
Yeah, I know. I got my work cut out for me.
All right, Green's coming out. Get you a good start.
Wally Dallenbach starting 32nd today. Behind him, Ron Hornaday in the 2-car, one of the championship contenders, has gone to the rear of the field. He had a crash in practice. He's had to bring out his backup car. Instead of starting this race in 17th, he's all the way at the back of the field, and he's got to win the race to try and win the championship.
And you see the 8 car, the car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr., driven by Martin Truex Jr. They had to change the engine this morning, so therefore he had to start at the rear of the field.
6 drivers, 1 race for a championship. We're underway here at Homestead.
And we've already seen something that you would not have seen last year. Kevin Harvick took the 21 car.
Oh, trouble, turn 3. Got a car turned around into the wall.
Scott Riggs.
It's one of the championship contenders, Riggs. Oh, and he gets hit again and again.
Talk to me when you get a chance, Scott. Talk to me.
Title bid over.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Car, but I'm okay.
Yeah, he's okay. Just trying to get all the air back in his lungs that was knocked out of him. See Casey Atwood, the 14 car. Looks like his teammate Tim Feto in the 12 also some damage.
Scott Riggs in that 10 car started the race in 20th position. He was involved in a crash late in last Saturday's race at Rockingham when he was the championship leader, dropped him from 1st all the way to 5th in the standings, and now he doesn't even finish 1 lap here at Homestead today, and his title bid is over.
So we can see what might have happened from our helicopter view. Cars go down in the corner, and it looks like he's got bumped from behind.
And that was one of his teammates that bumped him, BP. That was John Wood in the 15, who's driving a 3rd car this weekend for that race team.
See, once again, on the outside.
Oh, boy.
Man, oh, man.
That is going to make John Wood absolutely sick.
We have an onboard camera with the 15 car driven by John Wood. Let's see what happens here. There you see the contact. Oh, man.
You know, I think that the traffic just backed up into the corner more quickly than he expected. It looks like he was pulling over to get behind Riggs going into that turn, and Scott just slowed down because of the traffic jam in front of him.
And again, on the first lap, you just do not want to go in on the outside until you know exactly what your car is going to be like.
Casey Atwood's 14 car, you see there, all torn up in the jam up. Tim Feto, the other car involved, the 12. Those 2 teammates for Armando Fitz and Terry Bradshaw, both of their cars in this race torn up in the first lap crash.
And they had another car on the way down here to Miami. The trailer caught fire and burned the contents of the trailer, so they withdrew the 3rd car.
On board Scott Riggs as his championship bid comes to an end. So now watch, he's going to back up here to keep from running into the guy.
Well, he just didn't want to go on the outside 3 wide. That was Regan Smith in the 56 car there. He just did not want to go on 3 wide on the outside, so he backed up a little bit more than John Wood thought he was going to.
Boy, oh boy. So heartache for Scott Riggs in the opening laps here at Homestead, the opening lap at Homestead. his heavily damaged car to the garage. His championship bid for 2003 is over.
Hi, I'm Steve Lyons, president of Ford Division. Welcome to the Ford 300. Today we're saluting two tough champions. One will be the man who emerges from this race as the Busch Series Drivers' Champion. The other is the next F-150. This is the only truck tough enough to be the official truck of NASCAR and the official pace vehicle of this race. That's a distinction Ford and our dealers are very proud of. We're also proud to bring you all the action. Now enjoy the race.
NBC's coverage of the Ford 300 is brought to you by Ford and the next F-150, the only truck tough enough to be the official truck of NASCAR. By Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash, never dry your car again. And by Trim Spa, completely ephedra-free. Get your high-speed Dream Body Diet Pill today and be envied. We're not envying Scott Riggs right now. 10 months worth of effort to try and win the championship is over, Marty.
Just absolutely disheartened is the best description, Alan. What happened on the track, Scott?
Just got run into. Just hate it. That's not the way that, you know, not what we deserve as a team as far as this entire year. Just somebody's a little too impatient, that's all. You know, pretty hard hit there a couple of times, but just hate it. Just hate it for the guys. We deserve to, you know, we made mistakes this year to put us in 5th place coming to this points race, but these guys did a good job, and they put their hearts out there right on their sleeve and did a great job. And this is definitely not the way we want to end our season last 2 races.
Obviously a tough week last week, 38th at Rockingham. Today it will be another DNF for Scott Riggs. Dave?
Well, Marty, friends have been trying to console Scott's wife, Jay, as she now moves from the pit box toward the garage to see what's going on there. Of course, Scott's love is racing, but his life is his wife, Jay, and his 17-month-old son, Lane. That's what he lives for, and they'll be around when this is over.
Some of the other championship contenders barely getting through it, including Jason Keller, Scott Riggs' teammate, who comes into this in 4th in the standings, on board with him.
Still there. Got to spin up high. Got to spin up high. Stay down. You're clear high, clear high, clear high. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Good job, buddy. Caution's out. Caution's out. Caution's out. I think we're clean, guys.
Keith Barnwell, the spotter, driving him through there, Matt.
An early scare for Jason Keller, not the spin. The fact that he came on the radio and says, I feel like I may have a tire going down. His spotter talked to Wally's spotter to have Wally check and see if his right rear was indeed going flat. Wally said it was fine. Then he asked, can you look at my left rear to see if I have the same problem? Both tires, A-OK.
Yeah, Wally barely got through this mess as well. We'll take a break here while they continue to clean up, but we'll go to the commercial riding on board with Wally through the mess.
Let's get low. Let's get low. He's going to come back down on you. You're good. You're clear.
Wow. Clear. Done with the cleanup. We're getting set to go back green in the Ford 300 at Homestead Miami Speedway. With Wally Racing, we dipped into Ford's talent pool of Winston Cup drivers. Kurt Busch has joined us for the broadcast. Welcome.
Well, thanks, Alan. Benny?
It's great to have you, bud.
Thanks, good.
Going to be an exciting championship race here. Already got off to kind of a mess for a couple of guys.
It was yesterday in the Truck Series, and then today. I mean, that's what this race is all about. The final race of the year, it's all about points.
All right, well, appreciate you coming up here.
No problem.
Sorry
we're a little late.
Feel free. Well, you got to tune up that car for
It's
tomorrow.
all about speed. I'm a little behind already.
Ah, there you go. We'll get you on the lead lap. You get the lucky dog here. You're back on the lead lap.
Green, 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 green flag, green flag.
Greg Biffle is the race leader. Kevin Harvick is 2nd. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is 3rd. Jamie McMurray 4th. And David Stremme 5th as we get back racing. Basically 3/4 of a lap of green so far. And a big mess over in turn 2. Got another car off the pace there. Look at that log jam in turn 2. Somebody came up out of the gas. Was that David Green? One of the championship contenders, David Green, in the 37 with troubles. He was 9th last time by the start-finish line, BP.
Looks like he's I think he thinks he has a flat tire.
He got a right rear flat.
Matty?
You heard him say on the radio, I think I have a right rear flat. David Green trying for a 2nd series title. The guys are getting the tires ready, so when he does hit pit road, they can try to service that car as quickly as possible. This could be possible heartbreak for David Green.
Man, oh man.
That's horrible.
Is it flat here? I don't know.
See, the thing of it is, he doesn't know it's flat because you run such a big right rear spring here at this racetrack. But I would say he's a bit on the flat side.
Oh.
He's clear now. Come on down.
All right, come on.
Yeah, look at it. It's off. It's down. Right rear, isn't it?
Yes, it's down. It's flat.
Yeah. Four
tires. Right rear, right front, something.
It's already coming apart. The tire is that flat, Matt.
And he is in. He had to drive through some of the fluid left by the 10 car. The right rear is completely down as they throw it back across the wall. They are going to make a 4-tire change here for David Green as crew chief Jason Ratcliffe, the 35-year-old, hits the lugs on the left front. They're going to have a lot of work to do to get themselves back in contention, not only for the race win, but for the championship win.
And on the track for second place, it's Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 going after Kevin Harvick in the 21.
And there we see the cars side by side. That's what we've been wanting to see here at Homestead, side by side racing. Kurt, your opinion of this newly configured racetrack?
It's fantastic. Just the way that you're able to come to a brand new racetrack and race side by side like this is something we haven't seen. It's pretty cool. I mean, the banking, it's a gradual bank. There's going to be cars that run up high. There's going to be cars that get pinched down low. But if your car is good enough, you will advance your position and move forward.
And David Green comes back on the speedway 2 laps down.
And got more problems because when he came onto the pit road, remember he came straight off the racetrack instead of using the access road inside 3 and 4. Black flag, you'll have to serve a penalty for that. So add another lap to his loss, and that's going to make 3 laps down.
Use access road, pass through, watch your speed.
But the good thing going for the 37 is this. He's the only guy a lap down. If we get a couple quick cautions, he'll get a couple lucky dogs. He's not out of this thing, but he needs a couple of quick caution flags to help him.
I thought I saw smoke out of the back of the 25 car. Well, I guess I didn't because that time I didn't see it.
That's David's wife, Diane. Don't give up yet. It's not over. So Hamilton Jr. not able to get around Harvick for second. And let me also update that both Casey Atwood and Tim Fedowa have been checked and released from the infield medical center near fine in that first lap crash.
And once again, you saw David Green coming off pit road, so now he's 3 laps down.
Not good.
A little bit of tire smoke off the 25 car. And it looks just as if when he's going through the corner, he's trying on a low lane, he's trying a high lane. You never really have options when you come to a brand new racetrack. That's what makes this place so unique.
So Brian Vickers running 6th, the highest up of the championship contenders, and I think Hamilton Jr.'s got him this time. Second place for Bobby Hamilton Jr. And we look back now, there is Brian Vickers, who came into the race with the championship lead, and he runs now in 6th place. Dave?
Well, this is kind of for Kurt and Benny. I know sometimes drivers are told a lot of things about what other drivers are doing. Sometimes you're told nothing. Here's what they told Brian Vickers after the 37 and the 10 had trouble. Basically just this. There's nothing to worry about. No pressure in the big picture. And, of course, we know what the big picture is.
And I think that probably just changed the way that he's got to run this race now. Because now he's racing Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car for the championship, and he leads Hamilton Jr. right now by about 70 points. So, oh, here we go for the lead, Hamilton Jr.
You don't think Hamilton Jr. knows he's got to go?
Yeah, he's got to go.
Well, you know, I talked with Hamilton Jr.'s crew chief Harold Hawley this morning, and what they liked about their position in this race is they're a long ways back. All they can do is win the race, and then see where everybody else finishes. Marty?
That's been their strategy for the last half of the season, Alan. I mean, they were 369 back after the Bristol race, so their theory was just go out, win everything you could, and that's what they're trying to do today. They have made him aware of the problems for David Green and Scott Riggs. All he said on the radio was, that'll help us.
Yeah, that's true.
And there it is as they run now. That'll drop by 5 points. That's 69 if Hamilton Jr. is able to take the lead. Actually, it'll drop by 10 because he'll gain 5 bonus points for leading a lap, too. It's that math thing. Sometimes when I do that on the fly, I have to double check myself, you know? This is why they spent $10 million.
This is fantastic.
To change this place.
Biffle's not one to let him go by no means. And Hamilton Jr. wants to lead that lap, get 5 points, and possibly lead the most, get 10.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. driving for the Renzi brothers. Sam and Ed, both former chief executive officers of major corporations here in the United States. And Hamilton Jr., second-generation driver. His father, Bobby, of course, very successful Winston Cup driver who won a Craftsman Truck Series race here yesterday at Homestead. While we're watching this for the lead, how about Ron Hornaday? Bill, what kind of progress he making?
Marching through the field from last, Allen, up to the top 20, 18th last time I looked, in a backup car that got no laps on it after he crashed, although it did get 20 laps on the track here on Tuesday. So Hornaday trying to keep his championship hopes alive.
Two-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion Ron Hornaday, driving for Richard Childress. So Hamilton Jr. not able to do anything with Biffle for the lead for now. And Greg Biffle hangs on to the top position after 21 of 200 laps. NASCAR on NBC, live at the Homestead Miami Speedway with the Ford 300 season-ending race for the NASCAR Busch Series. Greg Biffle in the 7 is the race leader. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is second. Hamilton Jr. has stuffed the nose underneath him a bunch of times, but hasn't been able to finish a pass for the race lead. And our Wendy's race menu shows you that this is the middle part of the weekend's racing action here. They had qualifying in the truck race yesterday. Tomorrow, the Winston Cup season finale. We start at 12:30 Eastern time with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Kurt Busch is qualified 7th for the Ford 400 tomorrow.
Not bad. Not fastest Ford. We're doing the best we can, but here is a guy that's on the move.
Jamie McMurray in the 1.
And you know, 25 car Hamilton Jr. has tried to lead, get by Biffle in the 7 car. And now it looks like that the 1 car is faster than both of them. He's still not going to get those 5 bonus points, talking about the 25 for leading a lap.
We'll have a chance later, but McMurray's on a roll. That's the same car from Rockingham, if I can remember correctly. And what this track has a very similar characteristic to is California Speedway, and he ran real well at California Speedway earlier this year. Floated in pretty, get on the gas nice and easy, and ride that top lane. That's what McMurray's doing right now.
He's running a high groove here on this brand new speedway. Everyone said that the groove would be right on the bottom. Not for McMurray.
Not at all.
Look at this.
Check it out.
I'm so impressed.
Got 1 at the bottom, 1 in the middle, 1 a little bit higher.
You would think this place looks like Michigan Speedway if you didn't know any better, or California. It's really got a great feel to it when you're out there as well. Whether you put it on the low lane, ride the middle, and here's McMurray up on the top side. 3 lanes. Oh, 25's feeling the pressure from behind. Let's see what he's got.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. for the race lead on Greg Biffle.
Drafting help down the straightaway?
Not yet. Biffle had the nose out in front at the start-finish line. Remember that under the system used to determine NASCAR champions, when you lead a lap in a race, you collect 5 bonus points for the championship. So if Hamilton Jr. can lead, that'll gain him 5 more points on Brian Vickers for that championship at the end of the day.
That was impressive on the 25 car. He saw the 1 coming. He says, all right, I guess it's time to go. He really laid the hammer down, but he did get help from the 1 car drafting down the straightaway, last lap down the front straightaway. Now we'll see if McMurray's able to seal the deal on Biffle. But a car that cuts that good on the exit of the corner, I think he'll be able to seal it.
For 2nd place. And then you see now the tally there as Vickers has slipped back to 9th, and Hamilton Jr. gets those points for leading. Just 47 between the two. And for 2nd place, McMurray, last Saturday's winner at Rockingham, North Carolina. Not quite able to finish off Biffle there. While you watch this race for front-running spots, we'll update you that Ron Hornaday has kind of stopped his forward progress at 22nd position.
Check that out. How about on the outside?
He was just trying to work him low. Now he's on the high side, seals the deal. That's a good race car right now. But he had options to do it with. The racetrack gave him that capability of looking low and looking high.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Before, you didn't have that option. All the cars, basically, to get around the racetrack at top speed, had to run in the same spot.
Got a caution flag coming out for debris on the front straightaway. 2nd yellow flag of the race. And one of the problems that's happened, we showed you David Green's troubles earlier, talked about if he could get a caution, he might get the lucky dog pass. Unfortunately for him, the race ran green long enough that the leaders caught some other guys and put them a lap down. So it now helps him none. And he's way in a hole because now there are several cars a lap down and he's 3 laps down. Now if he's going to get back on the lead lap, he's got to do it all on the racetrack.
Do it by himself, pass the leader, and then let the caution flag come out. But he's still got a long ways to go. 160 laps or so.
So David showing back now in 39th position, 3 laps down to race leader Bobby Hamilton Jr. Team's allowed to change 3 sets of tires under the caution flag here today, so I suspect they'll get one here after 34 laps.
That would be my guess, because one problem with this brand new surface, a lot of teams are concerned about tires getting too hot and start blistering. Most of these teams scuff their tires, put a cycle on them to try to make them a little bit harder than they would be brand new.
And there's that access road we talked about that David Green violated before. You have to take that access road that's inside of turn 3 around and enter pit road off of that rather than come directly off the racetrack in turn 4 where that pace truck F-150 is running right now. So that's what David Green violated before that got him that extra penalty. So Bobby Hamilton Jr., Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, and David Stremme are your first 5 coming in, followed by Nemechek, Johnny Sauter, and let's check out the pit stops, Dave.
Brian Vickers started 6th. He faded to 9th. His car is a little bit loose all the way through the corner. They will make a track bar adjustment right there to fix that problem. Bill?
Ron Hornaday has been charging through the field, now works his way down pit road. The car is good, but not great. It will make a chassis adjustment, pull the left front fender out. Talking about 2 tires, they'll take 4, Marty.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. started 2nd, running 1st. Bill, he said it's right at neutral, into the corner, just a little bit tied off, half pound on the right front. Also a wedge adjustment, quick stuff for those guys. Matt?
Marty, significant chassis adjustments for Jason Keller. Entered pit road in the 24th position. He had a bad push all the way through the corner from the beginning, center, and then off. They are going to adjust the left front and right front shocks as well as air pressure for Keller.
And I tell you, Jason Keller is going to restart in the 30s somewhere by making all those adjustments.
Big race off pit road. A lot of cars grouped tightly together there. Let's see who got there first. Hamilton Jr. is going to win the race off the pit lane, and now watch for the knot.
Huge group of cars there. We see McMurray, Casey Kane, 00, Jason Leffler, Nemechek,
Elliott Sadler.
There's Stremme, Vickers, Harvick.
And there, finally, Greg Biffle. So a lot of spots lost on the exchange of pit stops for Greg Biffle. Second caution is out in the Ford 300 from Homestead Miami Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Under caution at Homestead Miami Speedway in the Ford 300, the championship deciding race for the NASCAR Busch Series. Caution for debris on the front straightaway. This Ford championship weekend, they settled the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series title yesterday, and it got wild. 62, Brendan Gaughan at lap 101, 33 to go. Knocked into the outside wall, and it gets ugly from there. Watch this. Oh, boy, Brian Refner nowhere to go.
And the 62 truck came into the race with about a 70-point lead, 60-70-point lead. But this will put him out of the race. He says to the fans, stand up and thank you very much for your support.
So they came to a restart with 2 laps to go. Watch the white-nosed truck. That's Ted Musgrave. Jumps out of line to try and keep from running into the back of the truck in front of him, but that's a violation of restart rules. He's penalized for passing to the left before the start-finish line. His team owner thinks they've won the championship, and then they find out about the penalty, and Musgrave is pretty disgusted.
Poor Teddy.
Bobby Hamilton won the race from the pole, earning him a bonus from the series sponsor. And Travis Kvapil, Wisconsin driver, won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship for 2003. By the slimmest of margins. See the results in our Craftsman Truck Update. Hamilton, Rick Crawford, Starr, Houston, and Sprague. And here are the final numbers on the Truck Series for 2003.
That's phenomenal, isn't it, Benny?
It really is. Wins the championship by 9 points. And Musgrave, if he could have passed one of those cars, would have won the championship.
On the right side.
Yeah, on the right side.
Restart rules are pretty particular.
They are. They are meant for a reason, and that's to try to keep us a bit safer on these restarts. And when you try to make an attempt to pass, you need to do it to the right. Whether that guy's got a problem or if you're trying to take advantage, it's difficult on a track like this because the front straightaway is straight. You can't go to the right.
Getting set for the restart with Bobby Hamilton Jr. holding the lead through the pit stops. Jamie McMurray second, Casey Kane third, Jason Leffler fourth, Joe Nemechek fifth.
And you see the 37 car, David Green, on the inside of the leader. Now he wants to get in front of him.
And then hope a caution comes out.
And then hope a caution flag would come out. See Johnny Sauter in the orange and white car try to drive down on the inside. Now that's legal. He was by the start finish line when he attempted to make that pass.
Now he's going to get bottled up behind some slower cars. That was tight. David Green trying to get in front of Bobby Hamilton Jr. Get a caution and see if he can get one of his laps back.
That 25 car surely is strong. Cold tires, hot tires. It's got a good car.
They've had their act together, haven't they?
Especially on these smooth racetracks where you don't have a lot of banking to them. The smoother racetracks like Nashville, there's just endless racetracks you've been competitive at this second half. They've really hit on something good.
Teams talking about tires after that first set of pit stops. Matty?
Jason Keller came back in and topped off, but his crew chief Steve Addington was off the box with the Goodyear engineers looking at their left front tire. They had a blistered left front. Steve told me he was kind of surprised. It was the same basic setup on the car this morning that they had during the final practice session on Friday, Marty.
Matt, Greg Biffle dropped from 2nd to 10th, and here's why. When they went to put the right rear wheel on the car, this cap was missing, and what this cap does, it allows the tire carrier to put the wheel on correctly. This cap was on the car, so we didn't know where to put the tire. So they didn't have this cap on. Cost them about 5 seconds on pit road.
You see, the lines is what Marty is talking about. The lines around there is how they line those up with the studs, so therefore the tire carrier's able to know where to slide that tire on. So someone just made an honest mistake this morning. It's something very insignificant, but yet when it comes time to change those tires, very difficult to put the tire on there.
So Greg Biffle fell all the way back to 11th on that set of pit stops. He's picked one of those positions back up. Johnny Sauter in that green striped number 29 car is hanging in there in 7th position. Behind him you've got David Stremme in the 30 and 8th. Sauter being given a ride by Richard Childress in that car this weekend. Remember, he split time in the 21 with Kevin Harvick throughout the season. And Johnny Sauter came into this race in 8th place in the NASCAR Busch Series driver standings, and Childress wanted to thank Sauter for his efforts this season by making sure he stayed in the top 10 in this race. Wanted to make sure he gave him the best opportunity he could to do that, so they put together an extra car and brought it out for him.
Very nice of him, Richard Childress. Of course, he's always been a pretty nice man.
Very loyal. That's the way the NASCAR garage works, is when you have a situation where you help one guy achieve a successful season, the guy's going to help you right back and try to get you into the top 10 in driver points.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, also trying to pay back for all of his help during the season for Johnny, but also giving Dan Deringhoff an opportunity. He's the car chief on the 21 for Butch Hilton. They allowed him to be the crew chief on this race car until race morning, where Gil Martin took over because he's also the gas man on the 21, and Butch didn't want to shake up their pit crew in this final race, but they gave him a lot of opportunity this week to gain experience, to maybe possibly move him into crew chief position down the road.
Well, it's a hard-working guy, the car chief on that 21 that Matt was talking about. Every time you go by there, you know, a lot of guys will lean on the jack and talk to you. Not him. He continues to work.
That's the great thing about some of these bigger Winston Cup teams, and they incorporate Busch teams into their programs. It's a farm system, not only for drivers, but for crew members as well. And it's a great opportunity for somebody to get a start.
Coming forward, Michael Waltrip in the 99. He started 24th. He's about to take 10th spot from Joe Nemechek.
Made that look real easy.
And no surprise, running the high line.
High line, Michael. We knew we'd see that 99 car come forward.
Oh, yeah. So Waltrip working his way through the traffic. One Busch Series win this season for Michael. A car, though, that's been a contender about every week that it's been out there. Our leaders, Bobby Hamilton Jr. 46 of 200 laps. Now 47 have been completed in the Ford 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. NBC's coverage of the Ford 300 is brought to you by Miller High Life. To live simply, boldly, proudly manly, this is the High Life. By Craftsman. Craftsman makes anything possible. Available at Sears. And by Geico. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Bobby Hamilton Jr., leader of the Ford 300 here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Coming up on the 100-mile mark of the race. Hamilton Jr. taking the lead at lap 31 away from Greg Biffle. Ticker at the top of the screen, the names in yellow are those drivers in the top 6 in the championship that are contending for the title here today. So you can follow that throughout the day and know where they stand in the rundown of the field. See Vickers back in 12th. Closest challenger to Bobby Hamilton Jr. right now. Let's take you through the field, let you know how some of the front runners and some of the title contenders are faring through the early laps of this race. Marty, you're first.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. took off pretty well in this run, and actually their strength is the longer they run, the better they get. He has 4 wins this year, 3 of them in this race car. Very happy, just a little bit tight off, Bill.
No changes on the one car for Jamie McMurray, with the exception that they took a little tape off the grill because it was running a little hot, Marty.
At one point in this race, Bill, Casey Kane was 37th. He came in on lap 5 to change tires. On this last caution, just 2 tires. Car a little bit tight in, a little bit tight off. Elliott Sadler behind him, probably going to run 10 races in this car next year in the Busch Series. A little bit tight off for Elliott Sadler right now. Matt?
And the 21 car, Kevin Harvick, slightly tight, he said. They made a slight air pressure and track bar adjustment. Marty.
Jason Leffler up front thanks to a 15.6 stop last time, working with new crew chief Robert Booty Barker. The car just a little bit tight the longer they run, but as you see, started 14th up to 6th. Matt?
A great run by Johnny Sauter. 1 round of wedge to try to free up the race car, but he lost more time actually at pit road. He was blocked in by Mike Bliss. Marty?
Greg Biffle trying to recover from that 20-plus second pit stop last time. Fell back as far as 11th. Came on the radio a moment ago, said we helped it early on. Car was a little bit loose, but getting tight now, Matt.
And Bobby Kennedy in his last race is crew chief for Michael Waltrip, trying to adjust that race car to a race-winning race car. He was tight, made an air pressure adjustment. Bill?
David Stremme a little snug before they stopped, so they adjusted for that, but his car is still pretty tight out on the racetrack. Started 7th, currently 10th. AB.
And David Stremme named Rookie of the Year for 2003 officially by NASCAR a little while ago. Bobby Hamilton Jr., only one of the championship contenders running in the top 10. Let's check how the rest of them are faring now. Dave?
And Brian Vickers restarted 8th. He has fallen back to 13th, being challenged now by Matt Kenseth for that position. They asked Brian, are you just cruising, running your own pace, or is there something wrong with the car? And Brian radioed back, the car is fine. Bill?
Ron Hornaday having trouble in traffic, 19th last time by. When he came down pit road, car runner Richard Childress jumped on the radio, said you might want to think about 2. We have to win this race. Hornaday said we have to take 4 to see with a tire where we'll be like. They took 4. He's back in the pack, Matt.
For 10 years, Bill, Jason Keller has dreamed of winning a Busch Series title. What a day he has had. Started out, he thought he had a flat. Then he had a left front tire that was blistering. Now he's telling his crew chief Steve Addington the right rear is starting to chatter. He really hasn't said much about the adjustments that they made to the race car. Meanwhile, David Green trying for his 2nd series title, trying to bounce back from losing the 3 laps because of the flat tire. Says the car is perfect, but he is still 3 laps down. A lot of room to make up.
And of course, Scott Riggs eliminated in a lap 1 crash. He's out of the race. 43rd position at the moment. Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front, took the lead at lap 31 from Greg Biffle. We're now about to hit lap number 60, and Hamilton Jr., as he holds the top spot and Vickers falls back, closing the gap for that championship even more.
Ron Hornaday, as he struggles trying to get this 2 car up towards the front, makes some contact there with Casey Mears. Knocked the right front fender in. That's not good.
Race for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Kevin Harvick in the 21. Jason Leffler in the 00. And Johnny Sauter in the 29. Yeah, fenders, I imagine, are your friends here.
No, you need those. And looks like Leffler's a little payday sandwich right now. It looked like Hornaday was just trying to get the air off on that guy's spoiler to slow him down a little bit down the straightaway. And it looked like Casey Mears was already heading down into the corner. So just kind of 2 places, two guys at the place, same time.
Leffler going to try the bottom on Harvick. and see if you can get alongside him and grab that 4th position away. Not yet. Johnny Sauter looking at the bottom. Leffler to block. We're seeing you can use a lot of the new banking here in these corners to race for position, and that's what we were hoping to see. Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front in the Ford 300. "100 miles into the Ford 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and a race for the lead is Jamie McMurray in that black, yellow, and orange. Number 1 is caught Bobby Hamilton Jr.
He was right behind him, and they ran across the 33 car, Tony Raines, and he kind of blocked the 1 car, so he's falling back to the 2nd spot, a couple of car lengths back. Marty?
Well, BP, Harold Holly just chimed in to Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s radio and said that high groove is how he's catching you. You might want to try it.
All right, let's see if it works for him. Talking about the 25, Bobby Hamilton Jr. If he moves up the racetrack, will he be able to pick up any speed?
No, he went right to the bottom.
And the 1 went right to the top. Bill?
Just driving a great race. In fact, his spotter's been a tremendous amount of encouragement to him. When he was weaving his way through traffic before, Benny, after he got to the front, they said that's a great job of driving, but no response from the car. Driver extremely quiet today.
I talked with Jamie about this racetrack, and he said this is fast. He said you have to really talk yourself into some things to go quickly around here. So he's probably a little busy talking to himself right now, trying to get this thing hustled through these corners to catch up to that 25 and try and pass him.
Yeah, the concentration level's on the extreme here, just on how quick you get back to the throttle. Jamie's floated in real nice and pretty, and then he's on the throttle so early before the center of the corner. And that's what you have to convince yourself of, is your front tire is going to stick when you stand on it, and you're going to be able to generate enough turning ability in the center to miss the wall on the exit, so you don't have the wheel turn too much.
About to put one of the championship contenders a lap down. That's Jason Keller in the 57. The leaders are going by. Upper left of the screen, the orange number 8. That's the Chance 2 car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Teresa Earnhardt. Martin Truex behind the wheel, started in the back because they changed engines. He just took 5th away from Johnny Sauter, Marty.
An impressive run, and an impressive run last week. Allen finished 2nd, his career best. They're going to run 24 Busch races with Martin in this car next year. The kid's doing a terrific job, a little bit tight in, a little bit tight off. They are preaching all the patience they can out on the racetrack. Just be calm. You clearly have a good car. Take care of it.
By now, I'm sure that all the teams on pit road are aware of the fact the 57 car had a blister tire. Guys, the 1 car, the 25 car, have they told them to be easy on the tires? Have they said anything at all about the tires?
Get the guys to follow up on that down on pit road here in a second, BP, and give us some answers.
Marty?
They haven't said a word to Bobby Hamilton Jr. Harold Holly is his crew chief. They looked at their 4 tires. They look good. I asked Harold about that. He said, I'm not going to say a word to him. As long as ours are fine, I'm not worried about it, Bill.
Same situation for Jamie McMurray. No problem with the tires on that run. That has not been a discussion point on the radio.
So that's exactly right. The crew chiefs have to keep the drivers focused on what's important, and that's driving their car and not making them concerned about the tire. The thing we just saw is they lapped the 57 car. Poor Jason Keller's not having a good run. And what you see is blisters on the left front tire, and they're right in the center of the tire, which means there's a lot of tire pressure that builds up, and it wears right in the center. So whether they've got nose weight in the car or they've got a lot of cross weight taken out, they're abusing that one specific tire, where these 2 leaders and most of the field is utilizing their 4 tires.
So if your car is really balanced well, you're not as concerned about something like that.
Yeah, I believe that they've got a better balance on their cars, and they're wearing their 4 tires a bit more equally than Jason Keller was.
But Jamie's wearing his 4 a little bit better than the rest of them because he is fast.
It looks that way. You can't abuse one specific tire because then that tire won't really help you out later in the run.
McMurray, 3rd different leader of the Ford 300. Greg Biffle led the first 30 laps, then Hamilton Jr. from 31 to 71 before McMurray went out in front. Been riding on board with several drivers during the course of today's race. Tomorrow, we'll have more in-car camera action for you with NASCAR in-car on In Demand. In-car camera channels, virtual dashboards, real-time in-car data, and live team audio. Yours for the taking at 1-888-SPORTS-IN. That's how you order the package on digital cable. Greg Biffle trying to move back up after the ground he lost on the pit stop a while ago, BP. Just took 8th place away from Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, and this has been a pretty good battle between these 2 cars. Marty, what Greg saying about his car?
BP started to make some forward progress. Now the car just too tight for Greg. He said they helped it early on in the run, but now it's getting way too tight. Tighter and tighter the longer they run. It's got to be frustrating.
And Kurt, the tighter they get, the more air pressure you build up in the right front tire.
Yeah, it makes it a pain to drive. Once you start out a car so free that when you go middle parts of the run, it'll actually handle halfway decent. And then by the end of the run, you're pushing your brains out. And that's where there's a certain group of drivers that have that figured out, and they can come to the front throughout a long run. And Harvick and Biffle seem to be struggling a little bit with the longer the run, the tighter they are getting.
Matt, you'd like to tell us about Kevin Harvick?
Well, as Kurt so eloquently put it, the 21 car is pushing his brains out, but he has damage to the fender, and they feel like that's why the car is so tight. Butch Hilton just waiting till the next stop to try to work on that fender, but Kevin is complaining the car is tight, tight, tight.
There's my buddy little Matt Kenseth, huh?
Yeah.
Rolling up through there.
Kenseth started 25th in that 17 car and up to the 9th position. Matt?
BP, he was tight earlier in the race, and they made some significant adjustments to the car. Air pressure, wedge. They also shuffled the air pressure on the left side of the race car, but Matt feels like they went too far. The car is still tight on exit, but now it is a little too free on entry and too free through the center, so they're going to back up on some of those adjustments on the next stop.
We've been throwing some terms around here, and if you're new to NASCAR, let's make sure you know what we're talking about. The term tight refers to a handling condition on the race car.
Now let's go inside our NBC virtual garage, and when all 4 tires are working equally, they're all green, they're perfect. When the front tires get too much pressure on them, they get hot and they start sliding across the racetrack. Kurt, the other driver, just turned the steering wheel, but the car continues to want to go straight. That's what we call a very tight condition.
Yeah, once you turn the wheel even further, it just induces that tightness more and what we call as a push.
And the opposite term we've been throwing around free, that means when the back tires are gripping less than the front tires and the car feels like it wants to spin around when you turn it into the corner.
Matt's loose, and Matt has a condition where going into the corner, the rear end wants to slide out, and when he's on the exit of the corner, the front end wants to slide. So he's got a handful, but he's displaying the same talent that he did all year long in the Winston Cup Series, and that's why he is the champion, coming up through the pack and adjusting to his car's handling characteristics.
He just took 8th place away from Kevin Harvick. He's trying to get 7th away from Greg Biffle in the 7, and he works on that spot. Wally's still out there plugging away. Mr. Clean riding alongside in 25th position. Jamie McMurray leads here at Homestead. NBC Sports live at the Homestead Miami Speedway with the championship deciding race for the NASCAR Busch Series, the Ford 300. We're just past the 1/3 mark of the race, and the championship is the big story today. 6 drivers with a shot at the title. Brian Vickers led the standings coming in. Bobby Hamilton Jr. starting the day was 89 points behind, but he's running 2nd, and Vickers is running back in 15th. Scott Riggs has just returned to the race, but his championship bid is in a hole of some 88 laps because this was turn 3, lap 1.
He gets bumped from behind by the 15 car of John Wood. Around he goes, and Casey Atwood 14 comes along and just plows into the 10. I mean, although no fault of his own, talking about Casey, but a lot of damage to that automobile. 57 somehow gets through.
Yep. Then at lap 11, David Green, who was 2nd in the standings coming in, had a flat right rear tire. He lost a lap and a half getting it changed, then suffered a penalty for cutting directly to pit road here instead of using an access road inside turn 3. He's 3 laps down in 36th place. Bobby Hamilton Jr., meanwhile, has led a good chunk of the early going of this one. He led some 40 laps from lap 31 to lap 71, included in that time. Ron Hornaday charging up from the back of the pack, though not without some incident.
He and Casey Mears getting together, and then just a few laps ago, Jason Keller, 57, one of the contenders for the championship, goes a lap down, but he just now made a pit stop, changed some tires. He's back on the speedway now.
We've kind of crept into that window now with the last pit stops coming under caution at lap 35, where we're going to begin to see a lot of green flag pit stops. Matt Kenseth just missed the pit lane.
That's what I'm told, that he started down pit road and forgot about the access. He was going to enter the pit road off turn 4, which someone reminded him, can't do that.
Well,
there maybe not. There was the entrance to pit road back there in turn 3.
Yeah. Sounded like a little miscommunication or something happened. Well, Scott Riggs came out and made 1 lap. And what's he doing? Going back to the garage?
Looks that way.
Yeah.
I guess the car really is just too banged up to be drivable.
Now it's Jamie McMurray putting Dave Blaney a lap down. 31 car. That is the 19th place car. So these leaders setting a pretty, I was going to say blistering pace, but with what we saw on Jason Keller's tire a minute ago, I reconsidered.
Torrid.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the help.
You see the championship deal starting to play out as the 21 car comes in. He was obviously tight, and that's why he needs to get fresh tires. But looks like Brian Vickers is doing the job that he needs to do. He knows he has a cushion and he's got some points. Let's go to Matt.
Kevin Harvick in the car that won with back in Michigan. An air pressure adjustment. You can see the wrench going in the back window. They're going to make a chassis adjustment for Kevin Harvick. Remember, you can see them tug on that right front fender. He did make contact earlier. They felt like that was where they picked up their severe push. As they're going around to the left side. Back to you, Kurt.
Well, it looked like he put a turn in the right rear and pulled the fender out. Away he goes.
17-second stop. Hey, you and Matt got this down pat, don't you?
Yeah, we're trying anyhow.
There you go. So Harvick rejoins the race, now needing it to stay green until all the leaders have cycled through their pit stop. Make sure he doesn't get burned and get caught a lap down.
Regan Smith in 56 car being passed by the leader.
Jamie McMurray has led 23 laps so far. Mike Wallace is on pit road. Hermie Sadler's on pit road, and we watch the race for 3rd. How about this kid, Truex Jr.?
Man, that's impressive run.
23 years old from Marietta, New Jersey. Came up racing locally, first at a little place called Wall Stadium in New Jersey and some other tracks around there. Then moved out to the NASCAR Busch North Series, very successful there. And now he's being groomed by none other than Dale Earnhardt Jr. to be a future driver for that organization. Marty?
Alan, I think they ought to bring this car to the racetrack more often. You remember when this car came out last? Michigan, Tony Stewart drove it, and I think it was a pretty good race car that day. Sort of dominated the race, should have won the race if it weren't for the rain that came. Very happy with the car. Again, they're telling him just be very careful out on the racetrack. They're coaching him around every car that he passes because they think that he has the best car on the track right now.
Well, he just got around Casey Kane for 3rd.
Here comes Kevin Harvick with those fresh tires.
And Greg Biffle is on pit road. Marty?
Yeah, Greg, as we said, really tight, Alan. They got tighter the longer they ran. A pound out of the right front. They also made a wedge adjustment on Greg Biffle's car, trying to loosen it up a little bit. Remember, they made him loose at the early part of the run last time. They're trying to make him loose for the entire run. 18.7 on the stop, this time for the 7 bunch.
It's a little long.
25 car gives up 2nd spot to come to pit road.
Stacy Compton following him in. Stop under the green flag here at lap 97, just shy of halfway. Marine Recruiting Command continuing its partnership with this team for next year. That announced here yesterday. Marty?
Yeah, they have a deal for 04, Alan, full-time with the Marines next year. Car just a little bit tight. They're going to free it up, half pound on the right front. Same exact adjustment they made last time. Car very good. They also make the same wedge adjustment they made last time for Bobby Hamilton Jr. It'll be 4 tires. They had a lightning fast stop last time. Pretty good one going this time as well.
16 seconds.
And now a rush onto pit road. Casey Kane is in. Johnny Sauter's in. Chad Blunt in for his stop as Hamilton Jr. takes the exit road to rejoin the track out on the back straightaway. Here's Johnny Sauter, Matty.
And RCR's Winston Cup number 30 pit crew goes to work for Johnny Sauter. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. They finally get the wrench in the back window. Also a wedge adjustment. He just rated in. He had found the line he was looking for. The car, though, still a little tight, Marty.
Casey Kane had just lost the 3rd position to Martin Truex Jr. Car tight for Casey. They went up 1 round on the track bar trying to loosen it up.
So Kane heading back out. Remember, he got just 2 tires on his last stop, and he really didn't fall back much.
Great point out. That was something that was a concern earlier with left side tires, and they did a great job with gambling to take 2. I'll see if that comes into play tomorrow.
Michael Waltrip is on pit road to get his stop now. Mikey having moved up very nicely from his 24th starting spot into the top 10.
These guys just hustle around to that left side. Car is up, tires off. It just doesn't take long to change 4 tires. 15.5 seconds. Terrific stop.
Wally's in, Dave.
Yes, car very loose in. They're going to have to make some adjustments on that. You see the wrench going in the window. Brian Vickers now coming around to him. Very, very loose for that whole run. They're going to take spring rubbers out of the right rear to try to tighten that 5 car up now. 4 tire chains. They also have damage to the left front headlight area. They've got a tape patch they want to put on there. So a lot of adjustments right now for Brian Vickers. They don't feel like they can keep racing and losing positions as they have been if they don't make these changes. They're not going to put the tape patch on, it looks like, on the headlight. Only the spring rubbers out of the right rear.
They didn't have time. They were already up to 20-something seconds.
They had some trouble on the right side, Dave. You might want to check out, see what, I guess taking that rubber out of the right rear spring was the problem. Meanwhile, Marty, 8 cars in.
Just an outstanding run for this 23-year-old Martin Truex Jr. from the back all the way to second place, BP. Car a little bit tight in and through the middle, a little trouble on the left rear here, getting all the lugs off. They go 1 pound in the right rear, Matt.
Marty McKenna's on his way down pit road on exit. They made an air pressure adjustment to try to fix that tight off condition. And Benny, you were speculating earlier, had he missed the pit road, actually he had to switch ignition boxes. The car died, he had to go box number 2.
Attaboy, Matt, thank you very much.
Well, we knew if we asked, we'd find out.
There you go. Good boy, Matt.
Jason Leffler's in, Marty.
Having a nice solid top 10 run is Jason Leffler. They almost let a tire get away. Have to scramble to get that. Tight in the center and off a pound out of both left side tires is the call for Robert Booty Barker, the crew chief. Jason having a solid run, get all the lugs tight, send him back out on the racetrack.
And the leaders on the access road coming onto the pit lane. Jamie McMurray, been out there quite a bit longer than some of these other guys he's racing for the lead, Bill.
Yeah, if my car was that good, I'd probably stay out there until I ran out of fuel. He's not out of fuel. They told him to come in this time. 45 miles an hour down pit road. No complaints about the car, just a little bit tight. Now, is there something going on out there on the track, Alan?
Got a car that scuffed the wall. Looks like Ashton Lewis. I don't see a caution flag yet, Bill.
Okay, so McMurray stopped. Should be 4 tires and fuel. Again, just a little bit tight. And they wanted a little more tape off the front of the grill. And he wanted a new Drake bottle, I heard him ask for. Tearaway comes off the windshield. He's on his way.
And Ashton Lewis was the leader. After the 1 car had made his entrance on the pit road, the 46 of Ashton Lewis had taken over the lead.
And I'm not sure he even caught the wall. I think he just got up and scared it.
He probably wore his tires plumb out, so now he's coming on in. I'm done.
Well, look at, wait a minute, maybe he does have a problem.
He just came in with too much speed on the access road.
Now he's spun out.
And he did spin.
And now trouble behind him. Derek Hayes gets spun around in the traffic jam.
Look out, Derek. Hang on, baby. Hang on.
The
There you
caution
go.
flag is out.
Good job, Derek. All the way from England to show us that
skill.
There
he
you
kept
go.
it off the wall. That's
trying to
great.
think of a good word. Skill's a good word.
But it looked like all the leaders had pitted, so we might not have as much confusion as we thought.
And that might be where the traffic jam started.
And that might be why the 77 car spun out.
That's Matt Kenson.
Some damage
No,
to the
they're
left.
going to fence Biffler running the back of that guy. These guys are floating around in the second groove going half throttle. It's not safe. Never has been all year.
Okay. There's the explanation there.
Big time closing speed. There was probably a guy that was on the track, and Kenseth obviously just had fresh tires on.
Hey, Bill, I think that was it a break or not a break for the 2 car?
It may not be a break. Hornaday believes he's out of fuel. He was coming to pit road just as the caution came out. They said, stay out. They said, his spotter said, I'm out of fuel. Ricky Byers talking to him, said, you weave that car back and forth, you keep switching ignitions, but stay out there. So he's trying to limp it around. We'll see what happens.
Now it's going again. The car has picked up speed. Maybe it was an ignition box. But
Ron Hornaday is being shown as the leader, BP, so that's why Ricky Byers wanted him to stay out. He wanted him to get across that start-finish line and collect those bonus points for leading that lap, and now they'll come in and make their pit stop when the pit lane is open.
Well, Ron, slow down. Let that pace truck get in front of you.
So, as they run now, with Hornaday being shown as the leader and Brian Vickers back in 20th, suddenly Hornaday is the championship leader.
By 38 points. That is huge.
Okay, so now if you're Vickers and you just stopped under the green, do you stay out here to get that track position back? Because you know the 2's coming in.
I think the 5 car has to stop because he has damage to a fender. I think they need to come in, fix that, and try to get their car running faster.
Yeah, there are only a certain amount of cars on the lead lap, but right now he's being shown 1 lap down.
Yeah.
Because of that poor pit stop. So this is an interesting situation. He can't pit this time because he's 1 lap down.
Well, well. So a caution right at the tail end of a series of green flag pit stops has caught some people behind and may turn out to be a championship winning break for that 2 car of Ron Hornaday. Although we've still got 94 laps to go here at Homestead today. Hornaday comes into pit. Hamilton Jr.'s in.
Ashton Lewis, Biffle.
Yep.
Harvick right here, but it's here blubbered up out the corner. Might have ran up, fueled up off. But
all right, Bill.
Hornaday said his car sounds like it might be missing. Ricky Vire said, do we need to raise the hood? He said it's okay under acceleration. They said make sure you get all the fuel you can in there. It's very loose in. The problem is when he gets back on the gas, it's extremely tied off. Tire gets away. They work on the left side, Marty.
Reason for Bobby Hamilton Jr. pitting, does not feel good inside the car. Said he is roasting in there. They gave him 3 bottles of water, trying to cool him down inside the car. He also felt like this set of tires would be tight, so 1.5 rounds in the right rear wedge bolt.
And you say giving him water in the car, he's not drinking all that water. He's squirting the water on himself, trying to let the air cool him off just a little bit. Dave, what about the 5 car?
Well, BP, you were right. They do still have that damage on the left front headlight. They were talking about coming in and changing it, but as the scoring monitor kept changing it, Lance Weir, the crew chief, said, you know what, guys, we're on the tail end of the lead lap, so we're going to stay out until we figure out different and not lose more track position now to fix that left front headlight damage.
I would do that. Because right now he's the first car 1 lap down. So
if they didn't already give it back to Joe Nemechek, who's running in 19th position just ahead of Brian Vickers.
Let's check out what happened to bring us under the yellow flag. Ashton Lewis is trying to get back to pit road.
And I think Kurt was right, just too much speed for that access road.
See, something spits out from under his car and everybody starts trying to dodge it, and that's when things jam up.
And now we see Kenseth running in the back of the 77 car of Derek Hayes.
Because Biffle was just running around the top side. Nothing that Biffle's doing. It just was too many cars in one place.
But Matt was talking about the slower car, the 77, moving up. Well, you watch the debris come out from under the 46, and he moved up, I think, to try and keep from running over that debris. Watch right there, whatever that was.
Appears to be a piece of aluminum.
Yeah, it got collected by somebody. That group of cars.
Casey Kane's view.
Still the 1 car, Ray. Well, be careful, bud. Damn. Boy, that was close. The 1 just missed pit road. Keep digging, buddy. Keep digging.
That was close.
Now, what I hesitated before, I wanted to double check who was the lucky dog. Joe Nemechek got the lucky dog award for the caution. So Brian Vickers, by staying out, first he's on the tail end of the lead lap, but even worse, right, if he gets overtaken by the leader, he could still put himself in position to just be the first car a lap down, get the lucky dog on another caution. You know, he's far better served by staying out than he is by pitting, I think.
That's for sure, because you'll be in position ahead of all of 1 lap cars, all the guys that are 1 lap down. There's, what is it, Brian Vickers in 19th. There's guys all the way back to 29th position that are 1 lap down.
But see, I disagree with you guys, because his car is not good enough. And if Hornaday gets his 2 car running, he's going to have to get up in the top 10 maybe in the 5 car. I just feel like he needs to make his car a little bit better. Dave?
BP, they hope they did that by taking spring rubbers out of the right rear because his car was loose all the way through the corner. He's still got the damage on the left front, but what they're hoping is that they've tightened that car up significantly.
Oh, that's right. They did make a chassis adjustment during that pit stop, so now maybe I'll change my mind and agree with you 2 guys.
No, you can't do that. We're not going to allow that. The plot thickens here at Homestead in the Ford 300. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Back at the Homestead Miami Speedway under caution, little twist of events here in the middle stages of today's Ford 300. We were getting to the end of a series of green flag pit stops. Jamie McMurray, the leader, was just on the pit lane when the caution came out. Ron Hornaday had not yet pitted. That's trapped some cars a lap down and really shuffled up the running order. We'll explain it all in a minute. Matty?
It's going to be a race off pit road for Jason Keller trying to beat the pace car. They finally realized that the problem for their car all day, they feel like the left front shock had gone bad. Big guy Steve Helwig changed the shock. They're hoping now that will try to keep them in this title chase.
So Keller back out, continuing to try and find a way to come up with a decent finish and hope the cards fall his way. 8 cars did not pit when the yellow came out. By staying on the racetrack, they've taken over the top 8 spots and trapped Brian Vickers a lap down. Remember, we talked about Vickers was going to be tail end of the lead lap. Well, that was fine, except 8 guys didn't pit. Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane, Martin Truex Jr., Johnny Sauter, Jason Leffler, Casey Mears, Michael Waltrip, and Mike Bliss, because they just stopped under the green, didn't stop under the yellow. So they're the first 8 cars. Then Hamilton Jr. first off pit road in 9th, and that traps this man in 20th place, the first car 1 lap down. That's big.
But with Hornaday having somewhat of a bad pit stop, he's now back in 14th instead of being the leader. So if we go back to the points as they run, Vickers is back on top.
But if Hornaday can get his car adjusted and go towards the front in the 2 car, and Vickers can't get that lap back, it's Hornaday's championship to take.
For sure.
But of course, for Vickers, the lucky dog thing, if a caution comes out quickly, I mean, don't go away. We don't know what's going to happen. I can assure you of this. It'll be fun finding out. NBC's coverage of the Ford 300 is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. By Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. And by Suzuki, maker of performance-driven motorcycles, scooters, and all-terrain vehicles. Under caution in the Ford 300, third caution at lap number 106. Pit stops just completed, some under green, some under yellow. Dave?
And crew chief Lance McGrew for the 5 cars. I'm watching the tape there to see if he knows where he is on the track. You know where you are?
Well, I think we're the first car 1 lap down, I think.
And those changes he made to the car, have they helped it? Has he had enough laps on him yet?
Yeah, he said the car was definitely better. We're just too loose. I don't really understand what the track change. Usually I thought this place was going to go tighter, but we're just a little too loose at the beginning. He was kind of being real conservative, trying not to fence the thing, and he's doing a great job. We're doing what we need to do. We just need to get the car a little bit better and get some spots back here.
Very good. Marty?
Well, Dave, the biggest concern now for Bobby Hamilton's group is Bobby's health. How is he, Harold Holly?
He's fine. He was just getting a little hot around his feet and his back. We pitted under green there and made some adjustments. It was okay for them, but it was fixing to tighten up again. You know, we got to try to win this thing best way we can. We need a better car to win it. So cool him down, make another adjustment, try to get on top of it before we put our last set on for the end.
He said it was worth it to drop all the way back to 8th, make that pit stop. Bill?
Marty, 3 computers and a pad of paper trying to figure out if Ron Hornaday can get to the end. Rick Byers, can you make it from here?
We're a little bit short from here, so we're just going to stay out and keep the track position we've got. We lost quite a bit by going to the rear of the field this morning, so right now we got a break that we needed, and we'll try to take advantage of that, and hopefully AC Delco Chevrolet can make his way to the front.
Was he out of gas, do you know, or was it an engine problem? You're not sure?
We're really not sure. He just started to say that it started missing, so we assume maybe that it was out of gas, and then the caution came out, so hopefully we caught the biggest break of the year right there.
All right, Matt?
And Steve Addington talking to Jason Keller on the radio. How heartbreaking that your season came down to 1 bad shock.
Well, we're not going to give up. I mean, everybody's struggling right now. That we're racing against in the points deal. And, man, I'll tell you, his luck this year hadn't been on our side. But, I mean, Albertsons, Bear Creek, Air Plus Insoles, and everybody that, you know, WeatherMax Roundup that supported this race team, we appreciate it. And we're going to keep digging to the end of the day.
They came back in for a second time to undo all the changes they made to this race car all day. 1 lap down, restarts 28th.
Still under caution here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Getting set to go back racing in the Ford 300 season-ending race for the NASCAR Busch Series at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Couple things here. David Green was one of the drivers who'd not pitted when the caution came out. He's made up 2 of the laps he lost. He's now just 1 lap down and in 24th position. Also, several drivers topped off on this last lap of caution before we went back to green. I'll give you the list in a moment, but think fuel mileage. There are 83 laps to go in this race.
It's a long way to go, especially on this new softer tire.
See, that really is a long way to go, and as fast as they're going, you would think that they're going to be using more fuel than on the old racetrack.
I'd have to check with my engineers. I know we're getting a ton more throttle on time, but as far as fuel mileage, we're going around here 4 seconds quicker. So got to run the calculators on the deal.
Last year on the old flat track, Jason Keller topped off in this race with 86 laps to go. He ran out of gas coming to the white flag leading. So we'll see.
I could give you a for sure answer if I knew what my fuel mileage was going to be, but tomorrow morning, that's when we do those calculations.
Jamie McMurray's the leader. Casey Kane is second. Martin Truex Jr. third. Johnny Sauter is fourth. Jason Leffler is fifth. Sixth is Casey Mears. Mike Bliss seventh. Then those 7 cars up front not pitting under the caution. Then the first car that did stop, Bobby Hamilton Jr. He's back in 8th place. Let's talk David Green here for a second, Matty.
Jason Radcliffe, you guys are back in this, but where do you stand on fuel?
We're right now it's looking about 14 laps short. I was going to stop right there and top it off, which would have helped us a bunch. But right now, I mean, we've worked really hard to get back where we're at. So we just need the track position, and as much bad luck as we have, maybe we'll get a little good luck, and the Lord will look down on us and bless us, and it'll all work out.
There's your answer.
And you see, right now, the real race is between the 37 and the 5. The 5 is 2 cars in front of him. If he can get in front, that's right. If he can get in front of the 5, the caution flag comes out, then he gets the lucky dog, and he's got a good enough race car. He can go back to the field, gain some spots. But if they keep the 5 a lap down, he can't gain anything.
That's the cool thing about the season-ending races is how you have 2 separate races. Right now, Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane, Truex Jr., Sauter, Leffler, Mears, all those guys are fast race cars. But then you've got the group of cars with Vickers, Hornaday, David Green. Hamilton Jr. is a fast race car. Those guys are in their own points race, but yet they're trying and going through all these different scenarios to get the best day they possibly can. That's why there's so much drama in this last race of the year.
Look at this. Look at it. 25 points right now, first to third. A lot of laps to go. A lot of positions can change.
And the fastest out of those 4 is in 4th, Hamilton Jr.
This has been wild. And we've still got 78 laps to go. So David Green running 21st, trying to overtake Brian Vickers if he can catch him. And that would be huge if the caution comes out, whichever one of those is in front of the other, like you guys were talking about a second ago.
Yeah, last week we were in the same predicament where we had to catch the 38 car at Rockingham to be the first car 1 lap down. We ran 80 laps right behind the leaders between the 38 and us, and I finally got by the 38, but we had lost 5 seconds to the leaders. Now the leaders start lapping guys. We're no longer the first cars 1 lap down. So we're pretty fast as far as lap down cars, but we didn't get the pass to go back on the lead lap because they started lapping other cars.
Up front for the lead, Casey Kane after Jamie McMurray.
Check this out. I'll tell you what, the last couple of months, ever since we took over with NBC TNT, Casey Kane has been very impressive in this 38 car.
He's making that Ford look good. He's been just steady Eddie all day, just running up towards the front.
Not quite finished the pass on him yet. Marty?
He's trying that bottom groove. They've got a great run today. This is the car they ran at Michigan, sat on the pole, finished second there. They should have charged admission to come check out the 2 tires. Remember earlier they only changed 2 tires on the stop. Every Winston Cup team came back here to check out those 2 tires, see how well they held up. They held up pretty good, kept them up front, and here he goes for the lead again.
It's a fast car. If you can do all that work with 2 tires, imagine what you can do with 4.
Not able to get the lead yet, though, and Jamie McMurray holds him off. Scott Riggs has been officially retired from the race. He'll finish in 41st today after a turn 3 lap 1 crash. Ended his bid for the championship before he even broke a sweat here in South Florida this afternoon. How about our Stacker 2 NASCAR Busch Series race fact? Leader of the most laps today has been Jamie McMurray.
In the 1 car.
Leader of the most laps has failed to win 6 of the 8 Busch Series races here at this track.
Oh, sorry, Jamie. Hey, they got to pass him first.
Let's try to change that number to 6 out of 9.
That's right.
Casey Kane still working on him.
And Kane's trying to move that number the other way.
Kane, a 23-year-old from Enumclaw, Washington, came out of the USAC open wheel ranks. Ford Motor Company signed him to a development contract. He has been basically given a wide variety of things to race to try and figure out what he wanted to do with his career. Open wheel stuff, road racing stuff. Decided he wanted to do NASCAR racing. And Ford put him in this car. And he's proving them well. He drove for Robert Yates last season in the NASCAR Busch Series. Had kind of a rough initiation into the sport. Struggled a little bit, but like you were talking about, BP, second half of this season, the lights come on.
Boy, he really has. It's like, well, I can do this.
Yep.
But we've seen the one car. He doesn't run as good as some other cars that first 15, 20, 30 laps of the run. But after about 25 laps, the one car seems to be the dominant car. Bill?
You must have just been down on their pit, Benny, because that's exactly what they were saying. I ran down there when the 38 pulled up alongside. They just said, settle down. Well, that's lap 128. Long way to go. We're going to be okay.
So Jamie McMurray leading Casey Kane. They pulled away from third place Martin Truex Jr. by a couple of seconds. 72 laps to go in the Ford 300 here in South Florida. NASCAR on NBC at the Homestead Miami Speedway with the Ford 300 being led by Joplin, Missouri's Jamie McMurray in the one car. He's out in front by 0.4 of a second over Casey Kane. Next after NASCAR, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, live on NBC Sports from South Bend. BYU in town. Notre Dame football after NASCAR today here on NBC. We got some drama setting up for this championship finish here today in South Florida. We started the day with 6 drivers in contention for the title. Bobby Hamilton Jr., one of them, losing a spot.
What's up with the 25 car? He was a dominant car. He and the one were the dominant cars, and now he seems to be struggling as 20 Bliss goes by. Takes over the 8th position.
Hamilton Jr. has lost 2 spots in the last couple laps, BP, because Greg Biffle went by him also.
What's up, Marty?
Going down. Well, just tight. I mean, guys are trying to be on the bottom. I can't run the bottom. I just tight.
There's your explanation, BP. I just asked Harold Holly what's going on. He said, I know. I've asked him once. He didn't say anything, so he just asked him about a tire going down, and you heard the response from Bobby Hamilton Jr. Way too tight right now.
Okay, so Hamilton Jr. quickly falling back off of Bliss's bumper. He's now 9th place, almost 10 seconds behind leader Jamie McMurray. Brian Vickers, first car 1 lap down in 20th place, Dave.
Well, Brian Vickers was only about 2 car lengths ahead of the 37 of David Green, so he called into crew chief Lance McGrew. Where am I getting beat? How should I change my line? And they told him between the spotter and between Lance, you're getting beat a little bit into 3 and a little bit off of 4. But then they reminded him, run your own race. Well, since that time, look at the gap. Brian has found a faster way around the track.
Yeah, he's running about 0.3 of a second faster than David Green now. And you're right, Dave. Has pulled out to about a half-foot straightaway lead on David. I thought we had a real battle going there for a little bit, but Vickers picked up and David Green seemed to slow down a little bit.
That initial speed that David had off his pit stops kind of evaporated some. So Vickers in 20th. If the caution comes out, in position to be the lucky dog pass recipient. He would get the pass around the pace car and he'd back on the lead lap, while David Green would get trapped still 1 lap down. That's the importance of that dice for position between those 2 drivers right now. Brian Vickers just turned 20 years old, trying to become the youngest champion in NASCAR's upper levels. If he can pull it off here today, driving for Rick Hendrick in this number 5 car. Already started his Winston Cup career for Rick Hendrick. Trouble, turn 1, got a car in smoke. It's Greg Biffle. Caution flag is out. That's a right front tire that's gone on the 7 car.
And he somehow kept the car off the wall, and Vickers gets the lucky dog.
Yes,
right,
sir.
But there could be more cautions, because Benny, what happens when you have a caution?
Breeds cautions.
David Green might have a shot at getting the lap back as well.
So Greg Biffle loses the right front tire on his car while running 6th and brings out the caution flag for a 4th time here in the Ford 300. And Brian Vickers, after they make the pit stops, will get the pass around the pace car, and he'll restart as the last car on the lead lap in 20th place, and is feeling real good right now.
That's true. And there's a few cars that are just between him and Hornaday, but Hornaday didn't make any progression that last run. Hornaday's still running in 16th position, so he wasn't able to advance. You would have thought he'd have been able to pass some cars and move forward. But it also looked like Bobby Hamilton Jr. was struggling a little bit.
Now, who pits here? I think
all
everybody.
Of them. Everybody. Now they can go to the end without any problem.
So they'll all come in, take on fresh tires, take on some fuel. Question is, will we see anybody like perhaps the 2 car try just right side tires to get up front?
My guess would be somebody will try it.
Why not?
Why not? That's right.
Very important pit stops with 58 laps to go. McMurray, Kane, Truex Jr., Johnny Sauter, Jason Leffler, the order coming in.
Here's one disadvantage that Vickers has. He cannot pit this time by. He's got to wait till the next time by. Matt, let's cover some pit stops.
Johnny Sauter trying to win his last start for Richard Childress. No adjustments. The car a little free and tight on exit. No adjustments, Bill.
Jamie McMurray chasing the race win. Car's a little tight. Chassis adjustment, air pressure adjustment. Then he'll be on his way. They want him to watch the pit road speed. Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. a little too loose on new tires, he says. Bill, the car very good in the middle of the run. As Kurt described earlier, gets a little too tight at the end of the run. Good stop going for the 8 bunch so far. 15-2 on the stop. And I believe they won the race off pit road, Alan. Very close. A lot of cars.
Well, they won the race off pit road for cars who bothered taking tires. Bill?
Hornaday got 4 and a big chassis adjustment, and he's on his way.
Yeah, he was so far back in the running order, by the time he got to his pit stall, Bill, it wasn't going to do him any good to take
exactly
2.
Right.
So.
Exactly right.
But Matt Kenseth, gasoline only on his pit stop. He was the first car off pit road. Then the big log jam getting to the exit of the pit lane. Kenseth's already gone. Check this out.
Wow.
Sauter, Truex. Who's that? Leffler in the middle?
Got the 1, the 38. It's a slew of cars in one little pile there.
Yikes. But all that going on well behind Matt Kenseth. Now here come Brian Vickers and David Green. And remember, Vickers' crew doesn't need to get in an exceptional hurry here because he's going to get that pass around the leader no matter how the pit stop comes out. So, Dave, they should take the time and make sure they fix that problem.
That's exactly what they talked about. Benny talked about a disadvantage. It's really an advantage now that they get to take all this time. They will patch that left front headlight. They said we've got all the time in the world. They're also going to make a wedge adjustment. Brian just a little bit loose in and off, but he said the car's a lot better. Matt?
Up on the track bar for David Green. The car a little tight and an air pressure adjustment. Service complete by the 37 guys.
Now the pit stop is important for the 37. He's got to get out and be the first car lap down in case another caution comes out.
Look at this, repairing the work. They've got all the time in the world, and we'll try to help that left front fender stick to the racetrack a little bit better. And then they'll go around and receive their lap and be lead lap car.
Go ahead, Dave.
Kurt might appreciate this. Brian had some questions about what they were doing on the left front headlight. They said, we're not going to change the shape of it at all. We're just going to put it back the way it was. And that would be important for aerodynamics, I would think.
If they had cut out a piece out of another front end, the headlight door out of another front end, and they're just simply taping that onto the existing fenders and nose piece.
And the day of struggle continues for Jason Keller. More major adjustments on that 57 car. This season has not ended the way that they wanted it to in their bid for the Busch Series championship. Martin Truex Jr.'s crew doing a nice job getting the chance to machine off the pit lane. And they're pretty happy about it. 57 laps to go in the Ford 300 at Homestead. NBC's coverage of the Ford 300 is brought to you by Ford and the next F-150, the only truck tough enough to be the official truck of NASCAR. By Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash, never dry your car again. And by Dickies, a legend in work. We've got a piece of work going on here today in this championship deciding race for the NASCAR Busch Series. Several twists of plot throughout the day, starting with Scott Riggs being eliminated in a turn 3 lap 1 crash. Jason Keller has just changed the right front shock to go with the left front they changed earlier. Bobby Hamilton Jr. dominant earlier. He's fallen back with some handling struggles. David Green was 3 laps down after a flat tire. He's got 2 of them back. He's the first car 1 lap down. And then you've got Brian Vickers, who just got the lucky dog pass, comes back around to be the last car on the lead lap. Ron Hornaday started last after an engine change. He moved his way up, was leading when a caution came out at the end of a series of green flag pit stops. Boy, have we had a lot going on. You should see my notepad.
Dave Vickers was just back in the pits.
Yeah, he pitted again. The guys went to work on that left front headlight area again, making sure that it was taped down as much as possible. And of course, they didn't refuel because when you're the lucky dog, you can't come back around and top off anymore, as Lucky and me discovered in Atlanta. And other than that, they said it's good to go. He said, Brian, the car looks like it just came out of the shop.
Yeah. But they don't use tape back in the shop. They use sheet metal. But anyway, right now, Vickers has the upper hand in this NASCAR Busch Series Championship. If Ron Hornaday, if they can get the two-car handling just a little bit better, he can go forward. They got a shot. Right now, he's 15th. He's going to have to get in the top 5 in that two-car to have a shot at this championship.
It looks like a fresh patch of duct tape Bondo on that 5.
There you go.
That's what that is.
Restart will be with 53 laps to go. Brian Vickers now running 20th. Check that 19th after Greg Biffle had his problems. Ron Hornaday running 15th. David Green, the second car, 1 lap down in 22nd place. Dave Blaney is in front of him. That's Green in the green car, trying to pass Blaney to get to be the first car 1 lap down. If the yellow comes out now, that was a huge pass for the 37 car.
37 cars.
And there's a car spinning in turn 1. Caution is out. David Stremme is spun. What a huge pass for David Green in his championship bid.
He had him cleared, and the field was frozen. He's going to be back on the lead lap right behind Brian Vickers.
So all that stuff I said 30 seconds ago, forget it. It doesn't mean anything.
Wow. David Green getting to the inside of Dave Blaney on that restart, and seconds later, David Stremme spun out up in turn 1, and the 37 is going to get to come around and rejoin the lead lap cars. He was 3 laps down in this race at lap number 10.
Got to keep digging. That's why you always put your best foot forward no matter what's going to happen. It's the last race of the year. You've got to keep digging.
See if we can see what might have happened to Stremme in the 30 car. He just gets too high.
Tony Raines is up there as well. Cars are loose at the beginning of a run.
Damon Lusk. I called him Tony Raines earlier too, but 33 today has been driven by Damon Lusk and just simply got too high, didn't it?
Cars are loose at the beginning of a run.
52 laps to go. The plot thickens in the Ford 300 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Short while ago here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, they brought the NASCAR Busch Series Championship Trophy into the house in pretty fine style.
That's a pretty nice delivery vehicle.
Nice little ride there, huh?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful horses.
Oh, man, they're just gorgeous.
So the trophy's here. Question is, who's going to hold it a little while from now? It's anybody's guess at this point. Brian Vickers is the championship leader, but here comes David Green with his lucky dog pass. And you see just 34 points from David Green up to Vickers, and Ron Hornaday in between. What a race to the finish this is going to be. And it's just the beginning of our NBC doubleheader coverage. Ford Championship Weekend continuing tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time, with the Ford 400. We start with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Winston Cup champion Matt Kenseth will be on the wagon with Bill, among other things.
Kurt, have you seen anything today that you feel like might help you in tomorrow's 400-mile race in your Rubbermaid Ford?
Well, it's been great to accept the invite, and that's why I wanted to come up here and watch the race from this point of view to see it. As far as racing lines, how long it takes people to pass somebody, the guys that are good on short runs, the guys that are good on long runs. This has really surely helped. It looks like, obviously, it takes a well-balanced car to be competitive throughout the run. But now we've got a guy that came in just to take fuel. Johnny Sauter's been fast all race. Martin Truex Jr., I think, has been probably one of the best cars next to Jamie McMurray on the long run. So you get to see the different things play out when you're up top here and understanding lap times because you get all the telemetry, and then, of course, we're keeping track of the championship battle on the other hand.
It's been busy.
It has.
Yeah, well, you've been having fun with us. We appreciate you coming by. We wish you luck tomorrow from 7th starting spot. Still doing some cleanup work out here on the track, so let's get our last commercial under green flag conditions out of the way now while we have the yellow flag out here in Homestead.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Coming to the restart here at Homestead Miami Speedway in the Ford 300. 47 laps remaining in the season, and the championship very much in play. 3 drivers separated by 34 points, a fourth, 66 back.
Green flag.
And we'll see what happens. Matt Kenseth, fuel only on his pit stop. He's the race leader. The white car to his inside is Jeff Green, trying to get one of 2 laps. He's down to the leader back.
All the cars on the outside line as they come down the line, the ones on the left were in the lead lap. All the cars on the right side are cars 1 or more laps down.
Second and third place now dropping to the inside lane. Johnny Sauter to second. Oh, Martin Truex with his hands full. Here comes McMurray in the one.
He went into that corner awful low behind the second place car, so he pushed up a little bit. Or wiggled up there.
McMurray to third. And this knot behind him.
It's close. They are so close back there. This is so close.
Jeff Green in that 92 car is hustling that car all he can to try and stay up there and get one of his laps back. But boy, he looks like he's got his hands full when he dives off into those corners.
And Mike Wallace in a 4 car there. He and Blaney battling for the Lucky Dog Award in case the caution flag were to come out again. And once again, cautions.
3 cautions.
There you go.
We had a few already, and that put our championship contenders back on the lead lap.
David Green took the restart in 21st place on the lead lap. He's already picked up 2 spots. He's 19th. Brian Vickers is 16th. Ron Hornaday's fallen back to 15th. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. runs 11th.
There's Hamilton Jr. the 25 car. Meanwhile, second spot is being contested. Sauter the 29 car, the 1 of Jamie McMurray. And Casey Kane goes by Martin Truex to take over the 4th spot.
Yep, 4th. And up front, here comes Johnny Sauter looking for the race lead.
But he left the outside open. And here comes McMurray on the outside. He loves that outside groove, Kurt.
I think it was more to let McMurray go on the outside, because McMurray is a fast race car. He's just going to go right by Kenseth going down into turn 1, and he should be clear coming off of 2. He's already got him cleared. Kenseth let him go.
That'll be the 70th lap out of 157 that Jamie McMurray has led today. He's been the dominant car in this event from about its 1/3 point on.
Solid. Wipusaki Indian Gaming Reservation. That's just down the road from here, isn't it?
Yep, South Florida here.
It's a huge win.
About 45 minutes from here, so they're celebrating.
Martin Truex, we've seen him slip back a couple of spots since the restart. Watch the orange car coming up off turn 4.
Ooh. That looked familiar there to me. I saw the 97 car do something like that today.
Well, he left 8 or 9 black marks. I left 1 little scuff. That wasn't all that great for Truex. Hopefully he's all right and they can come back up through the front.
Bill, how about this youngster?
How about me? Will I do, Alan?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, good enough. A little bit loose. He's been loose on sticker tires all afternoon long. The car does come to him the longer they run. You see the person now just come to the pit box. Teresa Earnhardt coming to watch her young talent go around the racetrack. Still has a shot at the win. Very confident down here.
I've had that chance many a times when you have a fast race car and yet you haven't been to many racetracks to experience what cold tires are versus hot tires. He's got a good car in the long run, but yet he can't wait to go. He wants to go now, and that's why he's got a loose race car.
Speaking of going now, look who's together on the racetrack. David Green, 37, is catching Brian Vickers in the 5. This is going to be a race for 16th position. Just ahead of them, Ron Hornaday in 15th in the 2. 3 of the 4 remaining championship players racing for position on the racetrack into the final laps.
And the 30 car, the white car, David Strimmy, is the bestest rookie of the year in the Busch Series this year. Oh, man.
Casey Kane on the move. 38 car trying to get 3rd away from Johnny Sauter. As fast as that 38 car's been, he might get up there and try and have a say with McMurray about winning this thing.
That's for sure. He's been one of the guys all day long, just kind of plugging away on the top groove, and the further the run goes, the better 38 in the 1 gets.
Second place now. Sauter reeling Kenseth back in. And farther back, Vickers around Hornaday. That's 15th place now. And David Green trying to stay with him. It's not enough for David just to get to Brian Vickers. He's got to get in, get by him, and gap him by about 6 or 7 spots if he's going to win the championship. Whoa, Hornaday up the track. And there goes Green. Right by the both of them. Wow. Write that one down. 38 laps to go.
That was big, Matt.
And Jason Ratcliffe was sprinting down pit road. He was trying to go down to the 30 pit to tell the team we are running for the championship. Show some consideration. Before we went back to Green, he told David Green, giving him a pep talk, we feel like Hornaday is not good. We can get him. He's getting his spots on track position on pit stop. I think we can get the 5. Just go after it, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Next car for David Green to catch for a position is Michael Waltrip in the 99, and he's got about 4 lap cars between himself and Waltrip before he can pick up another spot. Dave?
Yeah, Brian Vickers came on the radio, guys, and he never said a bad word, but he sure didn't like the way Mr. Hornaday raced him up the track.
It's go time for David Green, because there's guys that are on the lead lap behind these characters, but they haven't been a threat yet today. So the only way that David Green is going to move forward is to obviously pass cars, because I don't think anybody's going to come from behind to put Vickers back any spots.
Vickers and Hornaday racing side by side now again. 17th and 18th spot. And up front.
Oh, what's up with the 1 car? Has he got a flat? Something's up with it.
He's coming in.
Jamie McMurray off the pace, leading with 36 laps to go. He's headed for pit road.
Easy, careful now. We have seen a car spin trying to make the entrance on the pit road on this very flat entry.
He's under power.
It's a tire. It's a tire.
All right.
Hard brake.
Sounds like it could be the right side, so you guys will get a better look.
Right rear. Does that right rear look low?
Looks like it is. And it's my fault because I mentioned the 3-letter W-I-N word way before it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's the right rear, Bill.
Well, here he is on the pit road. We'll go around to the right side. They'll change them both, but this will cost them. Take them out of contention. Bad break for a talented driver and had a great race car today.
Yeah, just as they finish that right side change, the leaders will go by and put him a lap down, Bill.
Boy, that's tough. So Matt Kenseth is the race leader, being pressured by Casey Kane with 34 to go. Matty?
He has his mirror full of that young driver, Casey Kane. Remember, Matt Kenseth has 27 more laps on his tires. No tires, got him the track position from 14th to 1st. Now he's just trying to hold on, Marty.
Matt that came on the radio told Casey Kane what happened to the 1 car. He said, remember, the 17 took fuel only on the last stop. You have fresher tires than him. They think they are better than the 17 on the long run. Now, there's been a lot of talk Casey Kane will drive for Ray Evernham next year. Guess who's coaching and spotting for Casey Kane today? Ray Evernham. Alan, I'll let you do the math on that one.
And I tell you what, let's don't forget about Johnny Sauter in his 29 and also the 8 car of Martin Truex Jr.
It's shaping up to be the battle that we thought it would be. It's just wide open with Kenseth Fuel, the 38, and the 29, and then the 8 car we know is good on the long run.
4 cars for the win up front. Farther back, David Green just passed Greg Biffle, put another car between himself and Brian Vickers. David Green is in 13th, Vickers is in 16th. It's not enough to give Green the point lead yet, but he knocked a few more off his deficit.
Bill, let's see that tire. You got
right rear, Benny. There it is. See it?
Yeah,
right there. Nice little cut. Kurt.
That's horrible. Just
none of those tomorrow,
run
okay?
a piece of debris over. I've had many of those this year. Those are no fun.
Yeah. So Jamie McMurray in the 1 car now back in 26th place. A lap and change down to race leader Matt Kenseth. What was that we showed earlier? The Stacker 2 race fact. Guy leading the most laps hasn't won.
6 out of 8, wasn't it? Or 6 out of 9?
6 out of 8. It's now 6 out of 9.
It's going to be 7 out of 9 now with because he's not going to win this one.
Yeah, forgot to add that.
Racing here for 7th and 8th positions. Bobby Hamilton Jr. trying to pick up a couple spots. He's working on Mike Bliss there. Marty?
Trying to work his way back around Mike Bliss. On the last pit stop, they took 4 rounds of wedge out of the 25 car, trying to loosen him up. It has worked. Bobby's had the car much better. Looks underneath Bliss going into 1.
Solid drive today for Mike Bliss. Really haven't talked a lot about him, but he's starting 28th in that Joe Gibbs number 20. Got it up into the top 10. He's been there for a while now. He was one of the guys that did not pit. He had stopped under the green. Then when the caution came out, back at, what was that, about lap 106, just after halfway. He did not pit again in the next round, got in some track position, and he's made good use of it.
And meanwhile, Casey Mears, the 19 car, is right behind these two, and looks like he's trying to figure out where to go.
Up front.
Strong run from Hamilton off that corner. Those two, they've been racing one another very clean, and that's what this racetrack has helped provide them.
Matt Kenseth has just dropped off the pace. The race leader's just dropped off the pace on the back straightaway.
He's on pit road.
New leader, Casey Kane.
They're just smoking on fire. Just lost one in the middle of the race and lost another one by bad wiring or something. Must have done something wrong there. Too bad. We had a shot at him. Let's go to the ground.
Look at inside the window. You can see the smoke, the ignition box smoking inside the car.
He said it must have been a bad wire or something. Now you see the Matt.
BP, remember earlier in the race, he had to swap to the backup box because the first box went bad. Now it looks like the second box is bad, and this day is definitely bad.
Well, they've gone already to
one up in smoke, Scott Wimmer. Caution's out with 27 laps to go. And David Green needed this. He had about, well, he had about 5 seconds to catch up to 10th place Ashton Lewis. He's in 12th. He was right behind 11th place Michael Waltrip, but he had 5 seconds to catch up to Lewis, and he was going to need to catch him to gain enough spots on Vickers to try and win the title.
Now it gets back put into the crew's hands as far as what they can do on pit road.
Well, you think anybody's going to pit?
Just depends.
What do you think? What do you think? Come on, Kurt.
In Busch Series, you get a certain amount of tires, right?
That's right.
That's where I get lost. Whether you've got enough sets, they should have a set sitting there.
But even if you had, would you want to stop and put fresh tires on and lose track position?
True. There are 19 guys on the lead lap.
One there.
He's towards the back.
Two there. Most everybody's got a set of tires they can put here under this caution. Most everybody stopped once under green and twice under yellow.
If I was Brian Vickers, I would stop for tires to make the conservative call to come in for tires, because he is 15th out of 19 guys on the lead lap.
Would you really? I mean, I think you would go from the points lead out of the lead to try to get the lead back.
I guess you'd have to do what 37 does.
That's good. That's interesting. Let's see what's going on.
If David comes, we gotta come.
If David comes, we got to come. That's what Lance Perdue said.
Quick.
Here comes the commitment point. The pace truck is coming to that opening to pit lane.
Just remember, Hornaday got his tires under caution. He's out.
He's out, so he's in trouble.
Hornaday's out of tires.
Here they come to the opening of the pit lane. Who comes in?
Nobody yet.
Casey Kane is staying out. Johnny Sauter's coming in. Second place is giving it up to come in. Watching for David Green. He stays out. Vickers stays out. And Hornaday doesn't have any tires to take. If you're new to NASCAR, to try and save teams money, these tires cost almost $1,600 a set. In the NASCAR Busch Series, they limit the teams to the number of tires they can change under the caution flag to try and save them from basically spending themselves any more than they already are. I was going to say spending themselves broke, but that's a racer's thing, to spend every nickel he's got.
That's for sure.
So Johnny Sauter, Greg Biffle, Joe Nemechek, Chad Blunt. Matt?
BP, a bottle of water and an air pressure adjustment just to free him up a little bit. The car just a tick on the tight side. They did have a set of tires left, while a lot of other teams were out of tires.
All right. So Johnny Sauter is on the pit lane, and we're under caution for the 6th time here in this race. And boy, does that set up an interesting sprint to the finish.
I was surprised. Not many guys on the backside of the lead lap came in.
Matt Kenseth leading the race. Going to be out. He'll have another try to cap his Winston Cup championship season with a victory in the Ford 400 tomorrow.
Let's try to check in with Wally and see how his day is going. Hey, Wally, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Sure, Benny Parsons.
How's your day going there, buddy?
We have been struggling, but we're keep making changes, trying to keep making it better. We were very loose getting in first part of the race. Kurt can tell you how much fun that is on a place like this. But we're going to come and get some tires and see if maybe we can make something up here in the last 20 laps.
All right, you've got about 400 miles on this racetrack. How is it?
Track is great. The track is fantastic. Lots of place to race and lots of grip.
All right, good luck to you.
Turn 4, boys, 4,000.
Wally is not going to get his top 5 finish today, BP. You know what that means?
It means, yes, it means that he is going to wash my vehicle in Daytona.
I'm sure he's got some supplies to do so.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, he does. So how about Johnny Sauter giving up second place?
That was big. That's, there's the question of tires here, and then people have been running over debris, and I would have thought the conservative role would have been to come in and take tires, but that's usually why I sit in the race car and let Jimmy Fenning make the calls.
There you go.
I'll tell you what else has happened here is one of the guys that was between David Green and Brian Vickers on the racetrack pulled into pit 2, so that's one less car between them. Green is running 11th, Vickers is 13th, so that got Brian Vickers back 3 points of his lead. And so it's 16 between the top 2 with 24 laps to go. Don't go away. Look at that championship picture. Drama to come. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Down to the final laps of the Ford 300 here today. Championship picture. It's tight. Let's check down on pit road.
Checking with Lance McGrew, crew chief of Brian Vickers. All right, his car can hold positions. Can he race and get positions? Is it good enough?
Oh, absolutely. He's having a little he's having a little problem racing some of these guys that aren't running for the championship. They're holding him up a little bit. Track position's the key. The car's really good right now. He's real happy with how the car's going. It's just going to come down to a 20-lap shootout here, and this is drama.
Up pit road to Matt.
Jason Ratcliffe, your day now in 2 hours and 20 minutes has come full circle.
Yeah, the way it started, I thought, well, we'll do the best we can, you know, but you just keep the faith, keep digging, and that's what this race team's done. And David Green, whether he wins it or not, he's a champion to us. He's worked super hard today, drove the wheels off that thing, and we still got a shot at it. We'll just have to see how it plays out here.
They battled back from 3 laps down. They restart 11th, Bill.
Rick Byers, he's got 2 truck championships. Do you have anything left to get him a Busch championship?
We've been fighting a tight race car all day, and right now all we can hope for is we just get maybe another caution and Ron can race his way to the front. But right now we're just struggling right now.
Marty.
Harold Harley, the car is finally right, but have you run out of time now?
Well, the one car had some trouble, so we might be able to get to those guys. We was about 4/10 better in clean air, so, but getting to them and passing them is another deal. But I'll tell you what, Team Marines guys, man, they've just been after it. Bob Jr.'s been up on the wheel all day. Extremely proud of our teammate Elliott Sadler. He's up in there this week in 35. We're just going to line up and see what we can blow by them all, get us a 1 and 2.
Real quick note on Casey Kane, the leader. He's had trouble getting his car into 4th gear. That will hurt him on the restart.
Yeah. Other contenders for the championship entering the day. Jason Keller, it's been a struggle all day. He's a lap down in 28th place now. And it appears his championship bid will come up well short with a little late season slump. And Scott Riggs out in a crash, turn 3, lap 1. Retired from the race after a couple more laps on the track, and he will finish today 41st.
Looks like the champion is going to be Brian Vickers, David Green, or Ron Hornaday Jr. All right, here we go.
We'll find out in 21 laps.
Green flag, green flag.
Casey Kane in search of his first NASCAR Busch Series win. Ditto for second place, Martin Truex Jr. in that orange 8. The red, white, and blue car to the inside, Stacy Compton, 59. First car 1 lap down in 21st place.
And Jason left in 3rd place. Booty Barker, the crew chief on that car, just joined them. Got a lot of stuff going. All 3 of these guys in the front would just be delighted.
Leffler, add him to the list.
Yeah,
still looking for his first Busch Series win. Then you get Elliott Sadler in 4th, Bobby Hamilton Jr. in 5th, farther back. David Green's 11th, Brian Vickers 13th, Ron Hornaday 14th. They're in a big knot of traffic right now.
That's what I was going to say. This period in the race, 20 laps to go, your race season is on the line. You don't want to get caught up in anything. You want to make sure that you stay towards the low lane and try to keep yourself out of trouble.
Next car in front of David Green will be Michael Waltrip to try and get a spot from. That's the 10th place David Green will be trying to take. You see Brian Vickers got a couple of cars between himself and David Green.
Very cautiously.
There's David to the inside of Michael Waltrip. Bottom of the frame, here he comes by Michael. That's 10th spot for David Green.
That moves him within about 10 points of Brian Vickers, Matt.
BP, Michael Waltrip knows what's at hand. Where is he from?
Owensboro, Kentucky.
Where's David Green from?
Ditto, Owensboro, Kentucky.
There you have it.
All right. Elliott Sadler off the pace, 35 car. Has just dropped off the pace from 4th.
I saw him smoking up in turns 3 and 4, and it continues to smoke down in 1 and 2, and that is an engine smoke. That is not a tire.
Troubles there for the 35 car in sight of a good finish. Elliott now heading for that pit lane. Stay under green. Casey Kane is pulled away up front while David Green continues to try and work the traffic. He needs a couple of more spots. Next in front of him is Ashton Lewis in the 46 car. That's the next one he has to get in line. Meanwhile, Brian Vickers back in 12th, Dave.
Racing to try to win this championship, trying to get around David Stremme. He just radioed in, can you help me with the 30 car?
It's Brian's mother, Ramona, looking on. That 30 car is for position. Remember, each one of these cars David Green passes, Brian Vickers needs to pass one to keep his championship in line. That's for 11th spot. And he's got him. Dave?
Well, and Clyde Vickers, his dad, and Ramona, his mom, are both here. Ramona's been in the pit all day long. Clyde's been running around nervously pacing. But you know, this family-owned team, as it was for Brian last year, ran 25 races to get him noticed, to get him in this series. And it was here at Homestead where he ran for the final time in that car. Finished 34th, did not finish the race here last year. But it was also that day that he met with Rick and Ricky Hendrick, and it was decided that he would be put in this car to win the championship this season.
So a bad day turned real good. Ever see Rick Hendrick, the owner of Hendrick Motorsports? He's been around this business for almost 20 years now and has built quite an operation up in Concord, North Carolina.
There's Brian Vickers running in 11th place. David Green running in 9th and closing on 8th. And a whole pack of cars in front of him for position. And it's so strange in a twist here. 1 year ago in this race, David Green was driving that 5 car for Ricky Hendrick. David Green's career was on the rocks. He was basically out of driving, a former champion in this series. He got an offer to help Ricky Hendrick with his driving, be a coach, if you will, which when Ricky decided to stop driving, turned into a ride. David finished last season exceptionally strong in that 5 car, attracted the interest of Clarence Brewer, the owner of this 37, and the sponsor Timberwolf got himself back in a full-time ride. And now he's trying to beat the team he helped get back on its feet, that 5 car of Hendrick Motorsports, for this championship. Told you that story a couple of weeks ago in Phoenix. Sorry, BP, but it's so ironic, and it's been on David's mind as we come down to these final weeks of the season.
And both of these teams obviously want to win and want to win badly, but when it's over, they will feel some compassion for the person that finishes second.
These 3 cars in front of David Green are all for position. If he can pass them all, it might be enough, depending on where Brian Vickers ends up. Brian's got a little gap to go to catch Michael Waltrip for a spot.
He's for surely working all that he can do. He's got Ashton Lewis in front of him. He's got to try to work him on the high side, but now Ashton's on the outside of Casey Mears. Trying to look for his hole. He's got to move forward. 11 to go, Benny.
Unbelievable, isn't it? What drama.
Well, up front, it looks like Mears is starting to establish his lead. Oh, that's Kane, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Casey Kane has got 0.8 of a second on Mark Truex Jr. So he could be on his way to his first NASCAR Busch Series win. Although the lead's not kind of in a safe place here.
It hasn't.
So that's up front.
2 runners.
The real drama, though, is back where David Green is racing, trying to pick up those spots in that group.
Here they come out of 4 as those guys go into turn 1.
The red and white car and the blue car with the gold trim. Those are the lead cars of that group. That's Ashton Lewis in 6th, Mike Bliss in 7th, Casey Mears in 8th, and David Green in 9th. If I've got my numbers right, he needs to get by about 3 of those to get enough points to get in front of Brian Vickers.
I think if he gets by all 3 of those, he still loses by a couple of points.
Well, he gains those positions, and then those aren't positions that Vickers has passed just yet.
Yeah.
The bottom line,
it's close.
It's close.
Yes, Dave.
And crew chief Lance McGrew went running down pit lane away from his pit box. He went down there to sit with his friend Charlie Lewis, crew chief for Ashton Lewis, but I think just to get out of the mess down in his pit, it's real crowded down there right now.
Ashton Lewis is running ahead of him.
What he's saying is to Ashton Lewis is race him hard. Race that 37 hard. No, I mean, I don't know what he's doing.
Something like that. Well, for now, David Green seems to have stalled out behind this group.
Yeah, he's starting to lose ground to them.
And Vickers is hanging in there where he needs to be. 8 laps to go. Green running 9th, Vickers running 11th, Hornaday back in 14th.
Both those drivers have done a superb job today. Vickers being as calm and as cool as he needed to be, understanding the bigger picture, not racing that car when he had to, and then with the problem they had on the nose and being the lucky dog to gain that lap back. He's for surely done a miraculous job today, and then Green going through all of his troubles. Both those drivers for surely put it all out on the line.
Brian Vickers, where he's riding now, is in good shape, as long as he doesn't lose anything. Where Vickers is now, David Green needs to get to 5th to win the championship.
That's right. He's got to pass Kevin Harvick, and those 3 cars were directly in front of him, but he's having trouble getting to those cars now.
Yep. Well, for a championship deciding race, you can't ask for much more than we've gotten out of this one today. Early troubles for David Green. He got 3 laps down with a flat tire back at lap number 9. Got 2 of them back when a caution came out at the end of a series of green flag pit stops, and he hadn't stopped yet. Brian Vickers got behind earlier too. He got trapped a lap down by that caution. Brian Vickers got a lucky dog when he was the first car a lap down at a caution. David Green got one the next caution after a beautiful move to the inside on a restart to position himself to be the first car a lap down. Then the 3-wide pass with Green under both Vickers and Hornaday. Dramatic charge in these late laps by Green, and for Vickers' team coming back from behind as well, making the repairs to the left front of that car. Whoever gets the trophy, they'll have earned it.
And watching the race lead, and watching Casey Kane and Martin Truex Jr., the last 4 or 5 laps, they have run exactly the same lap speed. The last time by, the 8 car was a little bit quicker, but only about 5/100ths of a second.
That's Steve Grissom off the pace. The leaders are going by. Marty?
They know that Martin Truex Jr. is a little faster than Casey Kane, but Ray Evernham told him on the radio, he said, "You look forward, let me look backwards for you."
Just trying to help the boy get to victory lane. Evernham's a smart guy. I wouldn't second guess anything he has to say. But those 2 kids, they put on a great race today. And Truex tried to go a little too hard early on in a run and rubbed the right side up against the fence. Didn't look like it did much damage.
No.
But he's hanging right in there.
Names you'll see soon at NASCAR's top level. Casey Kane, maybe sooner than later, and Martin Truex Jr. David Green, what a charge. What a drive through traffic. It looks like he's bogged down right now in 9th position, and it's not going to be enough. Interval back to Brian Vickers. You see just the 1 car between them. So unless some cars in front of Green or Vickers start having some trouble in these final 2 laps, it looks like Brian Vickers is going to be the champion. 20-year-old Brian Vickers out of Thomasville, North Carolina, started racing in go-karts as a youngster, 3-time national go-kart racing champion. You heard the story a few moments ago about his father spending the money out of the family business to establish Brian Vickers' racing career, attracted the attention of one of the biggest team owners of all, Rick Hendrick, and put him in position for this championship. White flag is up, and Casey Kane is on his final lap in pursuit of his first NASCAR Busch Series win. Enumclaw, Washington is the place. It's Casey Kane, a NASCAR Busch Series winner for the first time. He takes the Ford 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Off of turn number 4, David Green is going to finish 9th. It's not going to be enough. And the 2003 NASCAR Busch Series champion is Brian Vickers, driving for Hendrick Motorsports.
Congratulations, Brian. Fantastic job, boys.
What an epic struggle this was today for all of these teams. NASCAR Busch Series champions. Casey Kane, your race winner today.
In a Ford.
In a Ford 300. They'll be happy about that, won't they?
Works out pretty smooth.
Brad Akins, team owner, longtime supporter of this Busch Series. Congratulations to him. And Dave, I'm sure an overwhelming sense of relief down there among the race team.
Well, you know, he's been here before. 5 Winston Cup championships, 3 Craftsman Truck Series, and now a Busch Series championship. Are you relieved, excited, what?
Man, I'll tell you, I don't even know this is Ricky's deal, and I'm down here. We're so proud of Brian. It's a great job, Lance. Great job. I'll tell you, this is the toughest one I was so calm this morning I couldn't believe it. But the GMAC and CarQuest and all those guys that believed in us, and Brian, we weren't supposed to be here. And Ricky and this young team, man, Lance, this is a big one for us. I'll tell you, congratulations to Richard Childress for winning from the owner's side. But I'm real proud of my boy Ricky and my second boy Brian there. It's a good week.
And remember, they started this team to campaign his son Ricky as a driver, and now they finish as champions with a favorite son, Brian Vickers.
And the celebration's on.
They're going to kill him. Boys, ease up on him a little bit.
He's still got his helmet on. Notre Dame, BYU, seniors, their final home game at South Bend, coming up next on NBC. And Brian Vickers going to get his car over to the championship celebration so we can talk to him first. Brian Vickers, at 20 years old, the youngest driver to win the NASCAR Busch Series championship by a half a month. He's 20 years old in 1 month compared to Rob Moroso, who was 21 by a year and 1 month, who was 21 and 1.5 months when he won the title in 1989. Rick Hendrick, the second man to win championships in NASCAR's top 3 series. Richard Childress also has the Triple Crown of Winston Cup Busch Series and Craftsman Truck Crowns. What a season for the NASCAR Busch Series.
Those points are phenomenal.
Huh? 14 points between first and second.
Look at that. Casey Kane jumped up 2 spots in the 7th position.
And Brian Vickers had to run the last lap to win the NASCAR Busch Series championship.
Yes, he did. The lead changed hands after 7 of the last 8 races in this championship. But Brian Vickers did just enough today to claim the title. Boy, I can't get over the ups and downs that this race had for these teams in the championship. They're going to sleep well tonight because they must be just emotionally wrung out.
They're worn out. It looked like Hamilton Jr. had the car to beat early on, and he was going to gain points on those boys because they all had trouble early on.
And Kurt, that's what you're going to find when you come into the final day of a championship battle and you've got a chance to win. When it's over, you're so exhausted because it's been so much tension all day long.
It's just phenomenal. It wears you out. Last year, we had a chance to finish 8th in points or 3rd. We ended up on the upswing of that. Hopefully, we can do that tomorrow where we're in the top 10. Hopefully, we can hang on to that.
Casey Kane, his first NASCAR Busch Series win in his 54th start, had a 2nd place at Michigan in August as his prior best as we look at the rundown from today's Ford 300. Jason Keller, 24th place, a struggle all day in his championship bid. And Scott Riggs eliminated in a turn 3 lap 1 crash that will find him finishing in 41st place and falling to 6th place in the championship. Well, David Green made a valiant effort, but he came up just a couple of points short.
Well, Alan, it certainly wasn't for lack of effort, David. I don't know what to say to you. You tried so hard there. Were you aware of how far Brian was back from you and how close you were to winning the championship?
Yeah, after we got our laps back, you know, at the first of the race, ran over that debris from that first wreck and had a flat right rear tire, and I was trying to get in the pits, but everybody was all around me, so I had to do what I had to do right there, and I didn't spin out. But, you know, I almost said, you know, it's all over right now, but 2003 has been a year that, you know, my team has brought me back to life. You know, nobody would even give me a shot last year. And when my team said it's not over yet, the game was still on, and that shows how good my team is. We came from 3 laps down, and yeah, a couple of positions are hard to swallow, but Brian and those guys, he's a great kid, and he's a great star, and he's a Busch champion now, and I would have liked to have beat him, but he knew we were here today, and we'll go back and have fun again next year, thanks to Timberwolf and Pontiac. What an awesome year, but we are disappointed, but I've got an awesome race team.
Bill?
Hang on.
And now at the start-finish line at Homestead Miami Speedway, the 2003 Busch Series champion, Brian Vickers, hoists the trophy. His car owner, Rick Hendrick, is here. And Ricky Hendrick is here as well. He was at the window a minute ago. Brian, congratulations. How's it feel?
Oh, man, it feels great. This is the fulfillment of my life. This is everything I've ever dreamed of, everything I ever worked for so far my whole life. I want to thank God, family, friends, my buddy Adam Petty, he was with me the whole day. All my friends back home, I couldn't go to this party with you in high school, but it's finally starting to come around.
Didn't you have an experience at Rockingham when you were just getting into this series that was a little scary for yourself? Look where you're at. What happened that day?
I barrel rolled a car down the backstretch in a test, and it's come a long way. The opportunity that Rick Hendrick, Papa Joe Hendrick, the whole organization, GMAC, CarQuest, Diatec.com, everything that they've given us has made all this possible. The engine guys, the body guys, the management, the licensing, the people that sweep the floors, people that empty the trash. I mean, top to bottom, that is the best organization. And I am so happy to give Ricky and Rick and Papa Joe their first Busch championship.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brian Vickers is the champ. Now to victory lane. Matt.
And 23-year-old Casey Kane has been dreaming about going to a Busch Series victory lane for a long time. Casey, congratulations. You've dreamed about this win for a long time. Does this reality match that dream?
It definitely does. It's awesome. You know, we've worked so hard to do this for 2 years now, and this Great Clips team's done an awesome job. And man, I just needed to get in the open. You know, we had an awesome car all day, and I'd get behind cars, and you just couldn't do anything with them. So, with the fast guys. But once we got in the open, it was awesome. And man, just a great team. Great job by all these guys. And you know, Deca Batteries, Curb Records, Oakley Eyewear, everybody that helps us out. It's pretty cool.
So much has been made about your future, and over the past few weeks, Ray Evernham has been on the radio sometimes giving you some insight. What has he told you that helped you here today?
I mean, I've had Mark Green spotted for me all year. He's done an awesome job, and you know, Ray spotted the last 2 races. It's been real nice to have him up there. He's a champion. He's won lots of championships. So, you know, hopefully, maybe something will happen there in the future. But he's done an awesome job. His whole team, Westward, everybody at the shop, everybody that, you know, Pro Engines, you know, my parents, my family. There's so many people behind me that's helped me do this. So, it's cool.
When will you know about your future?
We'll know by the Winston Cup Awards banquet, maybe sooner, maybe later. I don't know. I wish it was done, but maybe a little while. But you know, Ford has helped us so much, and you know, this Ford Taurus was awesome all day today. So we thank those guys too.
Wes Ward and the boys put him in victory lane here in Homestead. Marty.
Matt, you'll never see a more disappointed man to be third in the championship. Ron, it felt like you didn't have a good car today, but you do finish third, 46 out.
Well, I'm not disappointed for the team by any means. I mean, disappointed myself. I wrecked the car, you know, in practice, and we had to bring a backup out, and I thought we were doing real good. We brought that car up to the front, and those guys did great pit stops and all day, and I just couldn't get the hang of it. One day I would be loose getting in, next time it would be tight. So, I don't know, I just tried probably way too hard, and I should have just slowed up and let the car do its work. But we're a little tight off, but AC Delco, Chevrolet, everybody, RCR, all the guys at Chop, it's just a good building deal for next year, and we were a little off today. We just got to figure it out.
There's your third place man in the championship. Dave?
Marty, with 10 races, with 10 to go, Bobby Hamilton Jr. was 369 points out. He finishes the season in 4th in the championship, only 49 points back. Pretty good run.
Oh, yeah. Even if we'd have stayed where we at and fell out early, you know, it'd have been a tremendous season. Just got to thank a whole lot of people, everybody at Team Renzi, Ed and Sam Renzi and Gary Weissbaum. Ford, I mean, they really picked our program up. Harold Holly, Yates Motors, all the guys busted their tail all year long, give me great race cars.
Where'd your car go today, Bobby? It was so good early.
Oh, we was great early, and then we put a set of tires on, man, got tight. They wasn't supposed to be on the car. Somebody got mixed up in the notes and got put on the car, and it wouldn't cut in for me or nothing. But fortunately, we had a good enough car not to fall too far back. So overall, it ended up 4th, 4 wins. Just tremendous year.
They ended the season very strong. The last 5 races, they finished in the top 3 every time with 2 wins at Phoenix and Memphis. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. And the championship celebration is underway for the youngest driver ever to win a championship in NASCAR's 3 major national series. 20-year-old Brian Vickers already embarked on his NASCAR Winston Cup Series career. He'll be in the field for the Ford 400 here tomorrow at the Homestead Miami Speedway. What a season for the NASCAR Busch Series.
Can it get any better than that? Come down to the final race, just 14 points between first and second. This is not the most dramatic race I've ever seen, but it ranks up there.
It had a lot packed into it. And this racetrack, a dramatic change here over the last 6 months. Kurt, you've looked at it from on the racetrack in your car and up here in the booth. What are we looking for tomorrow?
It really turned out to be what everybody thought it could be. I mean, generated by computers. Now it's been proven by the Busch Series on how well it could race. Side by side, left and right. I mean, as far as just tires, you can take 2, you can take 4. It's really got so many options. That's what you're going to see in the Cup race tomorrow.
Well, just remember, inside, outside, pass them anywhere tomorrow.
We'll try the best we can.
Thanks for coming up and joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
boys.
Kurt
Good luck
Busch,
tomorrow, man.
He'll start in the top 10 tomorrow in the Ford 400. All right, for the formal presentation of the championship trophy, let's go back downstairs. Bill?
Thank you, Alan. Here's NASCAR President Mike Helton and the 2003 Busch Series champion Brian Vickers.
Brian, on behalf of all of NASCAR, it's a great honor for me to present you with the 2003 championship Busch Grand National Trophy. Congratulations, you'll be a great champion, and you earned every bit of it. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead and hoist it up there for everybody. Brian, it was a fabulous race among 6 of you. You had to beat 5 other very talented guys.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the competition, this championship deal was unbelievable. David, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Ron Hornaday, Jason Kellner, Scott Riggs, they're all great drivers, and had a great year with them all year, but I can't say enough for this Hendrick Motorsports GMAC team. We had our ups and downs. The ups made us friends, and the downs made us family, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to win this championship with anybody else.
Congratulations, Mr. Helton. Thank you very much. So there's your champion. Back up to Alan.
Okay, Bill. 8,247.8 miles of racing that started at Daytona International Speedway some 10 months ago with Speed Weeks concludes here today at the Homestead Miami Speedway for the NASCAR Busch Series. Brian Vickers taking the championship after a most competitive season. 16 different drivers to victory lane in the 34 races this season. And for Brian Vickers, now the 17th NASCAR Busch Series champion in the Tour's 22 seasons.
It just seemed like the last 2 months it was unbelievable. They'd go into a race, the champion, the leader would have trouble. Someone else would take over. And that took place about 2/3 of the time, the last 2/3 of the races of the season.
Tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on NBC, we'll bring down the curtain on the NASCAR Winston Cup season. It's the Ford 400. We start at 12:30 Eastern with Discover Card Countdown to Green. And NBC next, Notre Dame football. BYU is at South Bend, presented by AT&T. Rick Hendrick has another NASCAR champion. It's 20-year-old Brian Vickers of Thomasville, North Carolina.
The 2003 Busch Series
NASCAR Busch Series champion. We'll see you tomorrow with the NASCAR Winston Cup Series race from here in Homestead. You've been watching NASCAR on NBC.